What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again, episode 54. Here as usual. Oh, Joseph's back. What up? The fucking professor is back. He had a fucking wedding he was at last week, and now he is back here with us. I feel so much safer now.
Keep us in line.
The rest of the resident homies, Joel and Casey. What up, y'all? Thanks for being here again. Thanks to all the new listeners, all the subscribers, all the community. I fucking love all you guys and girls. Fucking what else, dude? We got fucking calideath.com. We got fucking all the Instagram, the fucking all that shit. So check us out all there. If you haven't subscribed and you're watching this shit, please just hit that fucking subscribe button, dude. That shit makes us feel good. Today, this Thursday, we got a fucking legend in my and probably my resident homies as well eyes. A guy that we fucking looked up to for a long fucking time. He's on the Mount Rushmore of fucking death metal drummers for me. Today we got the fucking infamous Tim Yeung, dude. What's going on, Tim?
How's it going, guys? How's it going, everybody?
Great, dude.
What's up, man?
Awesome to fucking have you on here. You're part of a lot of great fucking albums that have influenced us throughout the years. And, you played on And Time Begins, which is just a fucking monumental, pivotal record for California death metal. So it fits nice with this podcast. And dude, thank you so much again for being here. And
thanks for having me. Yeah, this is my first to anyone that doesn't know, this is my first podcast. So you guys were very helpful helping me set this all up here, and this is really cool. This is exciting. So I'm looking forward to doing some Q&A with some of the fan questions, and then just shooting the shit. We'll talk some drums.
Totally, dude.
Whatever else.
Whatever, dude. Whatever comes up. I mean, we tend to get into the weeds with shit. We just go along for the ride, dude. And but how we, start this thing out is we like our guests to take us back in time, throw us in the fucking DeLorean, hit that fucking date back to fucking 6 years old.
Are you saying when time begins?
Take us back to when time begins, dude, and fucking
when time begins.
Tell us like go for it.
No pun intended with that.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, tell us like the when music became like like it sparked an interest. When what made you decide to play music? If it wasn't drums, what was your first instrument? What were your parents playing?
I really think that everyone that plays an instrument or anything that they do in life, I mean, generally people just have this unexplainable draw towards it, like a weird, maybe a natural magnetic draw. I always liked music. So ever since an early age, I remember I discovered Kiss, and I had a babysitter that when I was like 3 or 4, she had a bunch of Kiss records, and I was obsessed with Kiss, especially Gene. I loved his character. And I remember just playing that stuff religiously, and I had no idea, you're just playing stuff. But I think it's really like it's crazy when you're a kid or even a child, when you're young at that youthful, I don't know, anywhere from 4 to like 10, you remember and take in everything that you experience, good or bad, or just unforgettable or memorable. It seems to stick with you for the rest of your life, and usually paves, a lot of later decisions that you have in your existence. But music to me was always something that I was just always drawn towards. My mother had guitars, so there was guitars in the house, and for some reason I just wanted to play drums. And like every drummer, most of us start with pots and pans. Those are a great thing. And then MTV was like kind of a fairly new concept. I mean, you remember when they played music? That was pretty awesome, right?
I start my day with that shit, dude. You're watching music videos and shit.
Remember that shit? Like, I remember in the morning before I'd go to school, they would play videos, and I would see White Snake or whatever. They'd play Huey Lewis or whoever was playing. They'd go through whatever list of the top 30 of blah, blah, blah. So I would watch that. But I think, when you added that, you had the visual. That was something new. That was something that, musicians that were inspired in the 40s and 50s, they just didn't have access to. You just didn't really see that. Maybe once in a while, what would you have? Like maybe a late night show, Ed Sullivan or something. But MTV was pretty breakthrough as far as having that, being able to,
access to more. Yeah.
You had a visual too. So that was really awesome. And drums to me it was just, again, it was just that natural magnetic draw that I was just, I think, I was just born or designed to play. I can't.
So at what age did this surface when you decided you wanted to start beating the skins?
I'd say like maybe 7, 8, 9. I mean, when I got into music, I mean, I didn't know anything about thrash, and thrash metal was still pretty new. I mean, this isn't like the 80s era. So I was still a kid in grade school, but I was really into music. So I remember hearing, I remember the radio was the earliest thing I remember hearing. I remember hearing Jimi Hendrix, and I remember hearing Led Zeppelin. I remember hearing Rush. And I remember hearing certain bands that were on the local radio station upstate New York where I grew up, and really being drawn to certain, just certain bands or certain sounds, what have you, or whatever. And I remember I really liked, I remember, and the Kiss stuff was before that. And then after that, I remember, I think the first cassette tape I bought was Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. That was when it first came out. That was in like 86, 87. I was in grade school. All I remember is I remember seeing like a couple of Bon Jovi's music videos, and I thought those were awesome. And I remember seeing Motley Crue. When I saw Motley Crue Wild Side, I was like blown away. I was like, all right, I that's what I want to do with my life. So I think that was the epiphany right there, was when I saw Tommy Lee playing. And I think maybe that's why I always like to incorporate a lot of rock flair in live antics.
Theatrics,
not everybody likes that, but
we had a blast watching it, dude. Watching you play.
That's awesome. Good deal. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that, because it's really hit or miss. People either really love it or they don't fucking understand it at all. Can I swear on here?
Yes,
fuck yeah.
Say whatever the fuck you want, bro. Dude, I probably just fucking clipped right after we were talking about that.
With the audio. So I think really, I think that's really why I would incorporate a lot of that stuff with live theatrics. As I grew up, like the visual to me growing up was, it had the same amount of impact as what I was hearing with my ears. So, and I always liked the larger than life persona of all the musicians Kiss was like, they were the masters of live theatrics next to Alice Cooper, who everyone kind of, borrowed from. I mean, he was really the guy that started all of that. But I really like that. I don't think, a lot of people, especially in the underground extreme metal world, it's kind of frowned upon. Well, it's gay, that's lame. Like, what's lame? That's cool. You're performing. You want to stand out a little bit on what you're doing and really deliver 200%. I really think that anyone could go up wearing sweatpants or shorts or just look like they rolled out of bed, and that's cool as well. If that's what you're about and it works for you, I'm not downing that. I just think what I wanted to do and I was trying to capture with how I played was just a little different. I just had a little different approach.
Well, with what you're saying right now, though, Tim, it totally makes sense, because the first influential, musicians and acts that pushed you onto your path are all about, not all about, but their theatrics is a very important part of it. So you're talking about being in that 4 to 10 range, and then all the guys that you're idolizing don't just play their music, but they're also putting on a show. Then that is your image of what a musician is. So absolutely. Of course that would be a part of what you're doing too.
Yeah. I didn't really set out to be an extreme metal drummer. That's just kind of how it happened. I really am, first and foremost, I always liked rock and roll and heavy metal. And then I just, like everyone that likes extreme metal, I think that are around my age group, you just had to find the next heavier thing. It was like, okay, well, what's the hardest thing? I want the next level. And it went from there on, you know what I mean? It started down here and went up here. But I think a lot of the younger kids, like any of the younger audience that's listening, you youngins, that are like, 30 or below, or even in like 20 or below, or like even 25, I think. I don't know where I would start it, but I even think guys that are like 30 and younger didn't really like, they grew up hearing like extreme metal, like it was already there. Like that didn't exist. It didn't exist.
We had to dig a lot harder back in the day. We
Absolutely.
had to really want it to find it. And now the internet's made it so accessible. You could jump straight to Cannibal Corpse from the beginning,
Totally. Yeah. I mean, for most of us, we had to figure out, you start from like, you'd start with like Fleetwood Mac or the Beatles. Yep. And I grew up with all the Beatles stuff. So I knew
Beatles, Beach Boys. I grew up with all that shit.
Yeah,
dude.
all that. But I think, and when you do that process and you go up and you work up, I think you have a different level of acknowledgement on extreme metal. And I think that's what makes it a little more special is, discovering and working your way up the steps, as opposed to just take an elevator and bam, it's right there.
It's gradual. It's more, it gives it more time to marinate on your way up.
Just the adventure of it, just like the finding the bands and stuff like that, then moving genres, going up to a different genre, and you're like, oh shit, this is kind of trippy. This is and then you get in that genre, and then like what's crazier, like keep building, like
chasing drugs, dude. I mean, we've probably already just said that recently, but it's definitely a high, and all these different bands and musicians and style of music are different kinds of drugs, and the combination of certain things becomes like, okay, now I'm down on this path. I'm looking for this drug, like I'm down now. I'm super into fucking wind instruments, dude, and I fucking go down deep into that fucking rabbit hole. You find a John Zorn, and it's like it all is like, but it's also like a fucking killer way of life, as an artist, to just keep digging that. You guys out there, if you aren't digging, I mean, I'm digging as much as I can, but you guys who don't have 3 fucking kids and jobs and all that shit, you better be fucking digging and digging and digging, dude, because access is so easy for you guys. You didn't have to go to Amoeba and go walk through the aisles for 3 hours, flipping through every single fucking record and going off.
Cover looked cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The artwork.
Everyone's done that. Everyone's at least, because I think all you guys remember vinyl, but I remember going to the record store, looking at vinyl and going, this looks cool. There was no way to know if it was good or not. Sometimes the album cover looked awesome and you get it and listen to it and it was total crap. Yeah, but that was part of the discovering, so to speak. And nowadays it's easy. You can have like a family of 4 and have a full-time job, and you can just stream whatever you have, Pandora or whatever the hell you find. Yeah. So it's easier than ever, but I think part of the adventure has been taken out. You're right on.
Totally. So let's take it back though, because I want to get through that part where you went through all of that, and so you're now, all right, I want to play drums. When did you get your first kit?
I got my first drum set when I was 12. Okay. Yeah, I think 12, and I started playing in school band, like a lot of I don't know about now. I don't know if they even have like music programs anymore for people. But
they do at the high school down the street from me. They do, because I actually, driving on the way to work, I'll see them, playing with their shit outside right now, because obviously, it's hard to get everybody inside.
See some kid walking around with a fucking tuba.
Yeah, or like the big ass drum, and dude just standing there. It's like 7:30 in the morning. Like, imagine being a high school kid. Like, fuck, dude, I had to fucking get up at 6:30. Here I am at 7:30, a half an hour before school works. I'm just fucking hitting the fucking drum while this.
I was there at 7 a.m.
Yeah, that's early.
Jazz band.
I remember I had to get up early for symphonic band, and it was like 6 a.m. and I'd get up and I'd fall asleep eating my cereal, and I'd missed the bus. And so I had to stop. My mom would be like, you missed your bus again. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get up early. So I had to stop. But I started that with a practice pad, and I learned all of my rudiments. So when I, when I transitioned in from the practice pad to the drum set, I already knew basic rudiments, and I could apply those. So it was cool. It was really, and then, I just used my hands and tapped a lot of the times, or pots and pans. But yeah, 12 is when I got the drum set. And that was really cool because I was, that you're there, you're able to actually have a crash cymbal, and you don't have to make believe in your head that the top lid to mom's, soup pot is your crash or your ride. You actually have a ride cymbal. So that was kind of really, really cool. It was awesome. And yeah, it was fantastic. Those were great times. It kept me out of a lot of trouble as well.
Hell yeah, dude. I think that did it for a lot of us that started playing music in high school and shit. I feel the same way, dude. I definitely stayed out of trouble because I was, dealing with music and bands and stuff while I was in high school. So that's a perfect segue. I want to know about like getting into high school. You're starting to realize that what are you playing? Are you just learning covers and shit at the time?
Yeah, I learned covers with like a friend of mine lived down the street, buddy of mine, Aaron Graff. He had a guitar, so he would bring his guitar over, and he had like a cheap Dean guitar and a Gorilla amp. I remember it was like a little tiny ass Gorilla amp, and we would jam and play For Whom the Bell Tolls. And I would do that, and I jammed with some other friends over the years. And I had a band that was almost kind of like grindcore or punkish. And there was only a few songs that were actually structured. We would just jam, but we'd do backyard parties a lot. This is when I was like 12, 13. So I was gigging when I was 12, 13.
Nice.
And then I got into high school or like middle school, and I started jamming with a couple other kids from like a couple cities or towns over. And it was my first band. It was called Windbreed. And I guess that was the first band that I actually gigged and recorded and did a demo with, and we wrote songs. And we played in Utica and Binghamton and Buffalo and Syracuse. We played a lot with Bron Daler had a band called Lethargy at the time. And
Lethargy fucking sick, dude.
I fucking love Lethargy.
Love Lethargy, bro.
That's funny. Yeah, it's a small world, man. And the crazy thing about Bron and I is I had known him. We grew up together, and we're both from Rochester, New York. So I remember when I was a kid, I would go to church on Sundays. And at the time, he was in church. He was involved with church with his family, and we kind of knew each other from there. And then we started playing metal together. We kind of just sort of, after a while, we kind of got away from, as we got a little older into our teenage years, we just decided and determined what was going to work for our lives and not. But we both gigged a lot. So Lethargy and Windbreed, my band, we always, we were always gigging and playing. And there was a lot of good drummers too. I remember Disgorged was another band, and Dave Ross played drums in that. And he was like the top dog. He's still an incredible player. He's such a big inspiration. Both of those guys to this day are huge inspirations. Rochester had a lot of great drummers and a lot of great musicians, but just like any industry, if you really want to get to the next level, you have to leave the nest. You have to go where the industry is. The industry is not going to come find you in the Midwest or in Paducah, Kentucky, or Rochester, New York, and give you a record deal. More than likely not. Sometimes things happen, but you're going to have to do some traveling or extend yourself out. So before the internet really happened, I would make VHS tapes. I made a couple VHS tapes, me just playing drums and getting onto after, jamming with that band in high school. After the band split up, I couldn't find anyone that I really wanted to lock in with. I was a few other local bands after that, but it was really hard to find someone that really wanted to, that was really hungry, and I mean hungry is someone that wanted to do it for a living, like not like just for fun. I didn't want to do it for fun. I had too much to offer, and I felt I had too much to prove. So I made these VHS tapes. Now we have YouTube. How crazy is that? But back in the day, I had to go and find like 15-minute VHS tapes, and I had my buddy video me with a camcorder, and I put them out, and everybody that came to Rochester, I gave this tape. Well, one of the tapes got to Eric Rutan, and that's how I got in touch with Eric to do Hate Eternal. And he was like, hey, I'm doing this band. It's a brand new band. And I knew Eric from Ripping Corpse and obviously Morbid Angel. It was a real trip getting a phone call from him when I was 18 years old.
I was just about to ask you that question. How old are you when you got that call?
I was fucking 18. I was like I had just finished high school. So, when I did the Hate Eternal demo, that was the summer of 97. And I had just graduated high school. I had never been away from home. I had never done shit. I was like this brand new human being, you know?
Yeah.
So I went there and I recorded the demo. And if you guys heard the Hate Eternal 3-song demo, or 4-song, I think 3 or 4, but Alex Webster played bass on it, and that was cool.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was insane to be linked up with these dudes that I was watching, you know, and I would watch them play, you know, and I knew who they were. So it was really cool. I ended up doing the album, and I did the first Hate Eternal Conquering the Throne. I was barely 20 when we did that album. And that album was done on 2-inch tape, no clicks, no real editing, just roll tape. And hey, I hope you can nail it. I remember the first song took like 26 takes or something like that. There's no punching. You play it front to back, and that's it. Hopefully you nail it. If not, we'll go back and do it again.
It's such a wild thing to hear, because that's such a pivotal album for a lot of us. Conquering the Throne, like, I mean, you know, you hear about the Cerrito being involved, and how there's the songs that could have been Suffo song, you know, riffs that you may have had for Suffo and shit, and then hearing how it was such an influence for Casey too. It's just like, it's so crazy to hear that you were just pulled out of high school. It's like NFL football player, just
it's like LeBron James or something, just getting pulled out like straight in the NBA. Like, here you go, man. Here's the big leagues. Have fun.
I mean, I wish I had like a quarter of the budget that guy had, but unfortunately, it's kind of like that without the money. But
symbolically,
it was definitely like a really cool experience at that age, and to be involved in, and I'm really, really, really proud of that record. And
it made all of us turn our heads, dude. We were all like, wait, what the fuck? Who's drumming on oh shit, this dude's fucking sick.
I was brand new, man. No one else had discovered me, and Eric really is the one that found me and kind of put me on the map. And
see, that's the grind that I love too, dude, is that you were doing the VHS thing. Like, that wouldn't have happened if you didn't have the drive that you're talking about right now. You know, if you were just like, oh, you know, I might do that, and then you never got to it, like so many other people who did it, that VHS tape was the reason that got, or it was the thing that fucking pushed the door open for you, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing I'll say in life in general is you can learn and master a craft. You can learn and study an entire Encyclopedia Britannica, but if you don't have the drive and the hustle, it's a novelty. You can't fake passion, you can't fake drive, and you can't learn it. You either have it or you don't. And I think the important thing in life is to really have a good work ethic and bust your ass. But really, if you have something that you feel is that you excel remarkably at, then you need to push it, because no one's going to push it for you. And it's really important. And I've seen a lot of great, talented people with all sorts of redeemable, remarkable, incredible skill sets that don't go anywhere because they don't apply, or they don't use it, or they're not hungry enough. And you could be the best at anything, but if you're not driven to do it or go out of your way to show the world, no one's going to know who the hell you're at, or know who you are, or where you're at, or what you're about. No one will know you. Yeah. So it's a really important thing. Now with the internet, it's made things a little bit easier, but kind of not, because you'll have guys guys and gals that will put their skill set on the internet and YouTube, and it will be good. But not everyone's cut out for doing, 160 shows a year.
Yeah.
Of being on the road 8-9 months straight out of the year. I mean, it's grueling as well. So you got to have
true.
Yeah, I mean, it's like right now. I'm not that guy, dude.
Anyone can go. Anyone can go viral. You know, anyone can go viral. Like, you put a video up, and then someone shares it, and all of a sudden, like, someone famous shares it, and then boom, it's viral. Like, they didn't really put in like the putting VHS tapes together and stuff like that. They didn't have the drive initially. Then people will take them and like be like, oh, you're amazing. You're a really good drummer. Come join our band. And then they hit the road with them, and then they're like, oh shit, this guy's not cut out for the fucking road. You know, it's like, doesn't have it. You know,
it happens. I mean, it even happens with guys that'll bust ass and they'll promote and they'll hustle and they get there. And I've seen it. I've seen guys crack in 2 or 3 weeks. They're like, I'm like, oh, this dude's done. Like, he can't handle it. And that's fine. It's not for everyone. It's not like, totally. Oh yeah, he's just, I mean, it's hard. And it's not a lot of, I don't think a lot of people really understand. I mean, the people that have toured, everyone that's toured knows what what it entails. And it's not a pretty glamorous lifestyle by any means, but that does go with it. And I think the one thing that kept me going is I just loved being on stage for that 40 minutes or hour. And that was worth all of it to me, all the sacrifice.
It's a great place to be, dude, when you're on fucking stage and everybody's fucking in the pocket, dude.
It is. When you think about it, you're on the road for like 7-8 weeks. You got 1 hour out of every day that really, really matters. Everything else is just kind of whatever, that 1 hour is where that's all the magic in the day. So you tally that up. I mean, that's not a whole lot of hours in 1 month to be away from your family and friends and everything. But it's something that, you either have in you to do or not. And it's definitely a lot easier when you're younger. And also going back to the YouTube stuff, I'm not discrediting any of the younger people that have. Yeah. I'd kill to have had YouTube and some of these other things. In a way, it's made things easier, and it's also complicated things. So there's pros and cons to everything. But I just think there was quite a few more steps to take, 25 years ago, to do something. And, even if you wanted to sell something, like, do you remember, like, did you guys have like a recycler or a swap sheet or something where you put shit for sale? You have like a little article of whatever for sale, but there's no photos, and you would just drive out. And hopefully it was what they said it was over the phone.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about like buying shit. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Nowadays, if someone's got let's say I have a really cool knife set, whatever, I can take photos of it. But, before that, you just had to take someone's word that it was what it was.
And you can take like macro fucking sick ass shots of it too, so they can see all the details and see all the flaws and shit.
Yeah, it used to be a description only, like it's like a classified ad going like, this is what we got. And if someone wants to sell it enough, they might embellish a little bit until you get there and you're like, dude, this is not what I thought it was going to be, because there's no photos to back it up.
Catfishing.
I mean, well, they always had shit for like cars, like you had Auto Trader or Picture Page or what have you. When you were trying to sell an automobile, you could do that. And funny story about, I'm getting off topic here, but I'm thinking about eBay. eBay was like kind of like a game changer in that sense, that you could put anything you wanted online, and you could actually have photos, and you had a whole world market. The whole world could see it. And that was pretty breakthrough. I mean, that was in like 90s, mid-90s, right?
Late 90s, yeah.
Late 90s, probably, yeah.
Late 90s, okay, because I remember, what is this eBay thing, and it was a really crazy concept.
Remember not knowing about like eBay bit me, because I used to sell things on it all the time, and then one day they're like, "Oh, you owe us all this money because we've been selling stuff on there," and I'm like, "Well, I don't have any money. I'm a kid." Like, and they're just like, "All right, well, shut down." They shut down my whole account because I owe a percentage of it or something like that. I forget what it was, but there was something like
they weren't taking it out automatically like they do now.
No, like back then there was like, I was like fucking like 16, 17
you had your
selling
eBay
guitar
bill
heads.
at the end of the month.
They did do that, and now they take it out of your account or your PayPal now. So they're like, well, we'll just go ahead and take this. So,
Yeah.
But the internet, where we're going with the internet is been convenient in a lot of ways, but it's also made certain things disappear. So like printed publications, there's no magazines anymore.
Dude, SOD magazine, dude. I would love to fucking still have that running, I
remember when I was a kid, there was Rip Magazine, Hit Parader, Metal Maniacs, you had Pit Magazine, you had all these things, you had Modern Drummer Magazine, Guitar World. I don't even know. I mean, I think they still print some of these, not most of the, the magazines that I just rattled off are done, but there are some that are still being, printed out, but everything's online now. Everything. And
I used to be able to get at least a few of those at my local grocery store in fucking Pacifica.
Yeah, like a Metal Maniacs or something. Would be there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Metal Maniacs was great, and they covered everything. But do you remember, like, there was no Blabbermouth? You would read Metal Maniacs for updates, or magazines on updates of what was happening with your favorite band or musician. And now everything is as soon as something happens, it's on whatever news music news thing you want to
Yep.
you know,
You used to have to like cut pages out to be like, oh, this is a picture of my favorite band, and cut like a magazine picture
I
out
totally
and like, put it on
had
your wall when you were a
magazine
kid. You know,
cutouts on my fucking
Yeah.
wall, dude.
do you guys remember any pictures or any posters you had when you were a kid that were memorable that you had? I remember
totally.
a whole bunch.
Definitely.
Yeah. I remember I had a big Iron Maiden can I play with Madness, and my father didn't like it because it was at Eddie's head and there was like a fist going through his head. And I just thought it was awesome. But yeah, I don't know. Those were really fun days having the, or you just have a.
Yeah.
Mine was like Slipknot shit. I was
mine was like the new metal stuff because I was like in junior high and shit, like with that shit. You
I
know,
had like fucking. But then later on, it evolved into like Relapse shit. I had a lot of Relapse posters that I actually wish that I fucking kept. I had an Exit 13 poster that I fucking loved. Sphalic Carnage, like all the stoner grind basically from Relapse was all over my walls.
That's so.
Or like black lights and like blacklight posters. I used to fuck with those before music, dude. Like the alien and the you know the famous alien fucking symbol. And I would I would graffiti my walls with highlighter so it wouldn't show up until fucking you hit the black light.
Oh wow! I remember those stick-up stars. Those stars you could stick on your
dude.
I had a bunch of those.
Totally. It looks like we all shopped at Spencer's when we were kids.
Hot Topping Spencer's.
Oh, totally.
Those were. I think it was like a '90s thing, having all the stars because everyone had the stick-on stars. I remember we did that in high school, and I did that with the first girl I dated. We did my whole bedroom. And we turn the lights off, and then we would stare into the, and just go, oh, it's so cool,
Just be amazed by it.
It had the little putty. You'd have to like put your own putty on it, right? It didn't even have the adhesive on it.
No,
I had the sticky ones.
This one's like they were sheets. They were sheets, and they were already pre-carved patterns.
See the ones I got came with a wad of putty that would like. But like a month later, like you'd be walking through your room and some shit would fall on your head. And
okay. You had the cheap ones. Stars, right?
the thicker ones.
Yeah.
I've seen those. Yeah, I didn't have those, but I saw those. I think those came later. I had they were essentially just glow in the dark star stickers, and you'd stick them up. And my ceiling at my parents' house had a drop tile ceiling from the 70s. So they stuck and they were white, so you didn't see them during the day. And if you turn them off at night, they look really cool. But I remember that. Yeah. And I had a humongous Kiss poster, like huge. I don't know what the hell. I think I might still have that. I remember I had that, and that was, I had a couple Motley Crue posters. I really liked those. I had an Anthrax poster, and I had I also had a Tracy Lawrence poster. That was like my favorite. And I still have that. Not music, but still.
But fun.
I think I had Paula Abdul, and I didn't even like her music, dude. I just had Paula Abdul somewhere in my room.
I liked Paula Abdul a lot too. I didn't really like her music.
Remember, there was always the guy with like the Carmen Electra poster and the fucking Pam Anderson poster, like back in like the mid 90s.
I was gonna say, dude.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had like the Yasmin Bleeth poster. It was like,
Yasmin Bleeth. Jeez, I haven't heard that name in forever.
Some fucking Baywatch shit, dude. You know it's
dude, she was hot.
Yeah.
I mean,
she was hot as fuck, dude.
Yeah, she's probably still very, very pretty. But I remember her. Do you remember the Barbie twins? Remember those girls?
I do remember
a Barbie
that.
twins poster, and I also had the heavy metal posters. I think I still have
the famous heavy metal cover of the
sword.
Fuck yeah.
Yep, my favorite one was Tracy Lawrence. I have her in like black lingerie on a chair, like a red chair. It's like my absolute favorite.
Admittedly, I've never opened up one of those fucking graphic novels, dude. It's a graphic novel, isn't it?
As a picture,
a series of them or whatever.
Heavy metal.
No, it was just a poster that I actually.
I thought it was based on a.
Oh no, he's talking about Tracy. Fucking what's her name? Not heavy metal.
She had a poster. It was like from the 90s, and my buddy got it. And I actually had a real switchblade knife, and I traded him the switchblade knife for that poster. And I still have the poster somewhere at my parents' house, like wrapped. Like I rolled it up, and I carefully placed it somewhere. I think that's
biology, dude. You literally gave up protection through weapons to just stare at a poster of a chick, dude.
Beautiful, pretty lady. Yeah. Which
remember, like when you were a kid, you would just like the trades that you would do. It'd be like, I'll give you this cassette player for like this one CD or something. Like it would be like, actually, I found out about a lot of music like that was like, okay, well, I'll give you this like piece of technology for like an album. And it would be like, and it literally would like, I would sit there because the album meant a lot to me because obviously I traded my like tape deck for it or something, you know what I mean? And these young trades like literally like helped form my music like path, like and stuff, just like because you didn't have money really when you were a kid. You were just like, I have items that I got through Christmas or something. Like I will give this for the other, for an album or something like that.
It was a lot easier to just trade stuff, and we did that a lot. And that also reminds me, like back in the day with the local bands, when I had my local band, we would tape trade. My bass player at the time, he was a lot more involved in the tape trading, but I did a little bit of it, not a ton, but I remember getting tapes and trading with bands that were in like Ohio, and everyone would share their shit. And that was a really, really, really neat, it was a really neat experience. It was before the internet, really. I mean, we were interneting without internet. That's how we networked.
Yeah.
With the tape trades, were you like, was that done through like magazines and shit? Like, was that mainly?
You could put stuff in fanzines, and there were fanzines everywhere. And you would do those. And then there was also you get flyers. You would mainly, a lot of the networking was through different zines. And just kind of, it was really neat. It was a whole networking setup that was all done through mail, and there was no internet, there was no technology. It was just like you record your demo and you make your J card. A lot of the demos back then, you would make the layout, and then you'd go to a Kinko's or someplace and you'd print out like a piece of paper, and it would come with 3 J cards, and you just cut them and fold it appropriately and fit it in a cassette tape. You know what I mean? And there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
But there was, it was just, you throw it in an envelope and you mail it, and then you talk and you write. And it was a cool time. I think it had a little more value to it. It wasn't, there was a lot more involvement to do certain things and network and talk with people or hustle or get your name out or do whatever. There was a lot more. It was very much hands-on. And I think that was something that was taken away with the computer age and the internet age, the age of the internet. Everything's kind of ready. Everything is instant gratification. But
dude, I was just thinking that so hard. I was waiting for a way to push in with that instant gratification, and back then the delayed gratification.
It's cool, but the thing is it cheapens everything. Everything kind of loses its value a little bit.
With the instant. Yeah, totally.
Like it's not special anymore. I can go on YouTube right now and I can find, you name any band right now, any big band, I can find their demo on YouTube right here. I can find Metallica's, I have Metallica's No Life Till Leather. I got it somehow through Tape Train. And I ended up, and it had like Master of Puppet rehearsals on the other side. And it was so like a copy of a copy of a copy, and it sounded like shit. But like that was like, holy cow, how did you get that? Now you just go and we can find it right now on YouTube. It's nothing.
It numbs you. Yeah, the instant gratification just numbs the process, numbs everything to like, just makes it like, that came out. I'll go listen to it real quick. Oh yeah, it's good. That's like literally that's how long it takes. And it used to be like, I have to contact this person. They're gonna send me something that's like gonna sound like shit, but I'm gonna get it in my hand. And it's like, there's a whole process back in the day. No, definitely.
Yeah, everything was, man. And I really think that, everything just, everything had a lot more value because you had to go through a lot more steps to obtain it or get it.
Yep. You got to get the friends together. All gather in a car. We're going to fucking go to Hate Street. Okay. It's going to be like this whole like half day process. And you might come home with all garbage, dude. If you want to just go off of covers and logos and record labels and shit, you may get one out of fucking 4 or 5 CDs that might be decent, or you get a fucking day where you come home and it's like, dude, I got fucking all bangers,
Yeah.
I remember I bought Obituary Slowly We Rot the day that the Metallica Black album came out. My buddy bought the Black album. And I didn't buy it because I remember seeing the debut of it on MTV. I saw the Enter Sandman debut, the video, and it was a really lame video. It was all black, and there was just little segments and pictures. Like they didn't actually do a video. They just kind of some video editor put something together and they threw the music under it. But the music, I wasn't really blown away by it. I feel like I hated it. I still don't like that album.
I stay within the first four as well.
And I won't even say that the Metallica Black album is a bad album, because it's not a bad album. It's just that the first four albums are just so remarkably awesome. And it's really what it is. It's a good album. The Black album's great. It outsold all the other albums that it's actually one of the best selling albums of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a great album, but I think that I think the first four albums just had a little more magic. Maybe it's just me. I know I'm not the only one, but when I bought the Slowly We Rot and my buddy got the Black album, we played it, and I played my tape. He's like, dude, I should have bought your tape. He was all bummed. And it was like, and I really didn't know Obituary too well at the time. All I saw was like, there was a corpse on the gutter and then the Obituary logo. And I'm like, well, that looks cool. Look at that. It's kind of, so so it was, again, one of those things, you just roll the dice. It looked promising, and it ended up being really, really fucking badass.
Totally,
I think,
dude.
Yeah, that was like 91, 90, yeah, whenever the Black album came out.
Jeez. Goddamn.
Long ass time.
Yeah.
If you want to step in.
What's up,
Joseph?
JC?
Go ahead. It's okay. You got one.
Okay, it's our homie Dennis from Spawn of Possession commented. He actually wants to know more about the making of the first Hate Eternal record. If you have any more memories or insights of that, any Easter eggs, whatever.
Well, okay. I went. Okay, so this was a crazy story about this album. I went and did the demo, in 97. And then it rolled on a year later, and I was still talking to Eric, and we were talking about finishing the rest. He was sending stuff through me to me through the mail in cassette, so I'd learn it and jam along to it. Eric was really, it was his material and his stuff. So he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And I lived in New York. He lived in Florida. Even if I had lived in Florida and worked with him at that time, I would have just been doing what he wanted me to play anyways. It was easier for him to just get his drum machine and put the parts that he wanted, the bass, just the meat and potato drum beats that he wanted. And then I'd add suggestions, and I add my flair to it or my feel to it as well. And some of it was a yay, some of it was nay. And he was pretty dead set on how he wanted the songs to be. So we got together. He drove up from Florida and stayed at I was living with my parents. So he stayed at my parents. We had a spare room area in the basement, and he was there for like 2 months. And he even got like a part-time job just hanging out. And he was cool. My parents were cool. We would jam and work on the songs, and we got them really locked down. And then in the beginning of 99, January or February, I went down to Florida for like a month, and I stayed with Eric. And it's funny, at the time, Eric was living with Punchy, or Juan Gonzalez, was Morbid Angel's longtime tour manager. And Punchy and I ended up touring throughout the half decade that I was with Morbid Angel. So anyway, that's how I met Punchy. And I met him in 97 when I first went to Florida. I've known Juan for a long time and Eric for a long time. So I went down and we rehearsed, didn't do anything. We just rehearsed every day. It was pretty dull. It was pretty intense because he worked and I didn't have a car or anything. I didn't rent a car. I wasn't even old enough to rent a car. I was barely 20 years old. So
how'd you entertain yourself when he was at work? Just play drums?
I would play video games. I'd take walks. There was a pond. I didn't really have access to a drums kit because we rehearsed at a public storage at nighttime. So we would put all this shit in. We'd be going to a public storage. It was Steel Garage. It was in Florida, in Tampa. So it was really loud. It was so loud. I'd have to wear earplugs, and I think my ears would still hurt even with the earplugs. You're in a steel garage with drums and 2 half stacks. You know what I mean? It's just loud as fuck. Wow. So we did that for like a month and woodshedded and got it as tight as we could. Then we went in and recorded at Greenhouse Effect Studios. I forgot where, somewhere in the inner city of Tampa. And it was a few weeks we were having trouble getting tones. The toms, I still don't like the way the toms sound. I used my snare drum. It was a Ludwig, was it an Acrolite? I think it's like a 70s 14x5 Ludwig. Yeah, I think it's what it is, an Acrolite. They're silver, aluminum. They used them for so long. It's one of the longest running productions Ludwig snare drums, but I still have that. That's what I used for the snare. The China and a couple crashes were actually Pete Sandoval's, who Pete actually lent those to me. And he would actually come into the studio and check on me. That was the coolest shit ever, you know? And it was the same China and crashes that Pete used on the Blessed album and Covenant album. So it was quite an honor. And to this day, I just think that was really cool that I had that experience. It was a tough session because there was no beat detector. There was no just fix it on the grid. There was no click track. We didn't have clicks. We just rolled. It was a 2-inch. It was an Otani machine, 2-inch tape, and we rolled it. And hopefully you nail it. But I think the only songs that we punched were Doug Cerrito's songs because there were a lot of stops. So we were anywhere where there was a stop, we could punch. But we just didn't have the technology and the capability to do all that. So it was a grueling session. Like I said, the first song on that album took me like 26 takes. It was pretty grueling session. And then the photo shoot we did afterwards, I remember we did a photo shoot. There's a photo of us in a burned down church, and that's in downtown Tampa. Apparently that church is like renovated now, and it's like living areas for like a kind of hoity-toity hipster area, I guess. So that's what it is now. That church is up and renovated into like split apartments, all fancy. They used what was remaining there and put it together. But it was cool. It was just a very different time. You had to be able to play. You couldn't rely on, there's no, his feet are choppy there, or there's a stick click. Well, tough shit. We get you there.
Is Conquering your first official recording?
Yeah, that was my first recording, and yeah, it was all.
Do you think that the 26 takes had to do with any kind of anxieties that you had for being in that situation?
I think so, yeah, because it was kind of stressful. I mean, I sat in a house for a month pretty much and didn't do much. We actually had another bass player that was lined up before Jared Anderson joined. And that guy actually went home. He was in Chicago, and he was like, one day he was like, fuck this, I'm going home. And he just left.
Damn.
So Eric had to find someone else, and he ended up finding Jared through a friend of a friend, word of mouth type deal. And Jared also he was a really talented guy. He had a great voice, he could sing. So he did, I don't know if he did any backups on that. Obviously, the other albums that he played on, he did vocals as well. But that album was, it was crazy, man. It was really bare bones, and it was just roll tape and good luck. And I really think that is magical because you can feel the human fluctuation all throughout that album.
That's one of the aspects of it that we love about it, dude.
Yeah. Nowadays, everything is just really, everything's just strangled to perfection. I don't hear any fluctuation. All I hear is beat detect at 98%. And then even a lot of the modern productions I hear, everything has the same EQing. Everyone has the same sound replace snare and kick drum. It's really like back when so back then, 20 years ago, we really had to work with, we didn't have the best drum kit. And the kit was a Mapex with 24-inch kick drums. So it was really hard to get. We just triggered the kick drums. The kick drums are all triggered. I don't even think there was mics blended in with it. There may have been actually. Yeah, there was mics, a little bit of mics, but I think it was mostly trigger. And the toms were, that was all mics. We did the best we could do. We didn't have the right heads. But it was, it's still a pretty kick-ass album. For what it is, I think it was.
And you're flying on that shit, dude. I'm thinking about like Spiritual Holocaust right now. You guys just all are like flying on that track, dude.
It was pretty crazy how quickly it came together. But everyone was focused on, okay, we're going to get it done. And Eric is a really hardworking individual. He is, at that time, he was really, really determined to put out this album. And there were times where he was just, wasn't the most pleasant guy to be around at times, but he really knew what he wanted. And I think that he was just like this the whole time, but it came out great. The album overall, I think to date, I mean, I think a lot of people will tell me that it's their favorite Hate Eternal record. And he's just, everything he's done is pretty remarkable. So it was really cool to be involved in that and do that album. After the album was done, the touring cycle, I kind of had a whatever job at the time. And I think the demand that he was putting on me and at my age and what I wanted to do, I was like, well, I just really, it didn't seem like I really wanted to be, it seemed like it was more or less Eric's band and it wasn't about everyone else. And I think it was just mainly, I think the vibe, and I was really young too, to my defense. So I think it was a series of things of why I didn't stay in Hate Eternal. And, but either way, the album was great. And then Derek, he got Derek Roddy. What better replacement for anyone than to get Derek Roddy? Right. And,
yeah.
So it worked out great for everybody. And then later on, I continued on and focused on, I did some other stuff. And then eventually I got to a point where I wanted to come out west and come out to California. And I decided to move out here, and I moved out to California.
So how old were you when you came out to Cali?
Like 25, which is kind of late, but I really didn't want to leave my friends and family. I was doing my best to figure out how I could do music and kind of stay there. I was just kind of at that time in my life, I was like, well, I really don't, I kind of like it here. I like my friends, family. I know my way, or I don't mind traveling. I like traveling, but I didn't mind coming home to see mainly friends and family. Rochester doesn't really have a lot of opportunities overall. It's a city with old money. There's no, there's not like out here in California, you have like a 22-year-old IT kid that's making 150,000 a year or whatever. That's not uncommon in California. But in Rochester, it's kind of limited. And it's really limited as far as there's no industry there for music. So I think eventually I started to discover and realize, I think that's what I want to do. And I wasn't dead set on Florida, even though I kept going to Tampa, Florida to play with all these other bands. I eventually ended up going to Florida or to California, and I did the Decrepit Birth album in 01, 02? Something like that. Not too shortly after.
It dropped it. What did it drop in 03 or 02?
It came out in
03, I think, right?
03.
So. Yeah, I think it's 03. I think it was. Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
So I did that album in 01 or 02. I forget which year. But I remember when I came out to there, Matt is based in Santa Cruz. And when I went out to Santa Cruz and when I was like, wow, California's awesome. And after I went to California and I came back, I think things were a little clearer to me on what I wanted and where I wanted to live. And when I came to California, I just felt like it spoke to me. Tampa was cool. I liked it. I think it's more appealing now than it was like when I was younger. But eventually, in the industry was, out west, there was a lot of stuff going on out west. I mean, a lot of bands and a lot of art and everything that we like is really based on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Cali death, dude.
So, yeah.
So by far, Casey, if you have a question, hop in here. But
I did have one.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, just before we keep moving on. So Derek, I mean, like when we had Derek on, Derek Roddy, of course, we and I was like thinking about like what he was saying about basically like that time in the late 90s when he was trying to figure out his sound, and like Sean Reiner, did Human with Death and kind of like just hit the ball out of the park with that progressive stuff and everything. And Sean was such a monster. And did Derek he said he's like, I'm just gonna fucking out endurance everybody and play faster than everybody, and I feel like it made me think of you too. And like in that time, it's like, I mean, what were your biggest influences? Of course, Pete Sandoval and stuff, but like other ones, I mean, of course, Cool Ross, but like you were like really fast, like at that time, and taking it, and like you like also had like a sound with your drums, like it's like the like it cuts through, you know, like you like the sound of your kicks, the snare, everything like cuts through like super fast, you know. And it's like sounds like that on like so much stuff, like even Agiel, like we were talking about that album.
Oh yeah.
And I was re-listening to that the other day and stuff, and so that's like that was like, was that before In Time Begins or after?
That was after.
Okay.
That was after In Time Begins. So, and I think that was around. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I don't remember. I think it may have been right around the same time. Actually, I think I was doing Age.
Joseph, you got it pulled up?
All I know is that the AGL album is a 2002 release and ATV is 2003. But
okay, so they were really close. I believe I was in AGL when I was doing Decrepit Birth, and the AGL was another band that was just kind of that album was, there was no click, there was no nothing. It was just, we rolled tape and good luck, you know, kind of deal. And but I think where I wasn't setting out to be the fastest drummer. It was just something I was able to do. And it came naturally, but I had never, in my point was like, I'm going to be the fastest. I just knew I wanted to execute as good as I could. And I wanted to be as tight as I could and as efficient as I could. But I didn't want to, like, if I was going to, you know, if we were going to play fast, then, you know, let's fucking play fast, you know, let's not like half-ass it. So I think maybe I subconsciously was in my head that I wanted to, but it wasn't something that I was overthinking. Like, I want to do this. I want to be, you know, never. I think in the later or earlier 2000s, I think when I was doing the AGL stuff, I think I was like, man, I want this stuff to haul ass, because I had done, you know, the Hate Eternal album, and I wasn't in Hate Eternal. I just wanted to prove. I do remember I just wanted to prove that I improved, and I definitely stepped up as a player from that album to the end. If you listen to both those, the AGL album is fucking insane as far as the drumming.
Insane, dude.
The drumming is, there's so much crazy shit going on, and it's ripping. It's really fucking fast.
Man, it's classic. Yeah, classic Unique Leader too, dude.
What's the name of the album again? It's
Dark Pantheons Again Will Rain or something.
That's right.
You know,
Dark Pantheons.
You know what's weird is I didn't really get along with the rest of the guys in that band. They were kind of introverts, and they were kind of like nerdy. They were kind of the opposite. I was kind of like, at that time I was like, I don't know. I was a lot more. I've always been an extrovert.
Yeah, just super social and wanting to hang out and fucking
Yeah, and when I was like, you know, in your early 20s, you want to fucking party and you want to have fun. You want to try to go, you know, meet some pretty ladies or what have you. Those guys with the
I'm 37 and I still want to party, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm slowed down now. I mean, me and my dog party by drinking fucking nighttime tea and watching Netflix now. So
these are my only parties in all reality. These podcasts.
Things slow down as you get older, but yeah, I mean, it was that was the one thing that I remember on that album, and maybe at that point, that's the one point I remember that I had like, all right, I'm going to step it up. But I think overall, it wasn't something like speed. Overall, wasn't something I was really trying to just knock out of the park, or I wasn't trying to be the most techie player. I mean, I loved, you know, Sean Reiner was such an innovative and special individual, and he was the sweetest guy, man. He was an absolute sweetheart. I'm really honored to have known him when he was alive and befriend him, because he was such a huge inspiration of my playing at a younger age. And, you know, him and, you know, Gene Hoglan, you know, Daddy-O. I love Gene so much. He's another guy that just never, his playing never fails to inspire.
Two signature styles that are super influential, each in their own, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and then I remember, you know, discovering some of the fusion stuff after that, because I was like, well, what is Sean Reiner like? Where's he getting all this from? I mean, like he's like hauling ass, but he's got all these really crazy fusion-y, like just these licks and these fills that I'd never heard before. And then I discovered Vinny Colaiuta and Dave Weckl, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I see what he's doing here. And then I would study, I'd listen to a lot of I remember I had Alan Holdsworth's Secrets, And like City Nights, that song, Cali is just ripping. And I was just listening to that going like, wow. So I really wanted to incorporate that too. But I think generally speaking, I mean, that was a moment where I really got into fusion, and I also studied jazz drumming when I was like 16. I went to Hochstein School of Music, and I did study some jazz and some jazz, Latin fusion drumming, whatever. Nice. And I learned technique, a little better technique and everything else, and I applied that. But I think really, I think what I've always been and what I've always identified as far as my playing and how I approach a kit is I'm a rock drummer that can play at 250 BPM. That's really what I'm at the end of the day. I'm 100% a fucking rock drummer that just can hit these 250 marks on a good day when I'm warmed up.
Totally.
Hell yeah, dude.
Do you remember? So we had, did a Decrepit Birth episode, and they were talking about you recording and stuff, and that there was like a flooding, like some sort of like a water like issue in your drum.
Oh,
like Bill was saying that your drum kit was kind of like floating, like kind of like a raft on there. That's what he was saying. I don't know if that you want to hear the backstory on that.
There was it was a Pearl export kit, and right from the get-go when I got there was nothing but like roadblocks. I was like, I wasn't like, I was kind of like, oh, well, we'll figure it out. I think Matt was more stressed about it because he was like, shit, we got to, but he really, we had a Pearl kit. It worked. It was just an export, but it sounded good. They insulated the room. I think the drum kit was set on pallets with wood over it, with a carpet over it. And when it flooded, it was kind of, I remember one day it flooded or something. There was something where it was shifty and moving around a lot. And I remember we didn't have the right fucking tom mics. So that's why those toms are triggered.
Oh my God, dude. It's the decrepit version of fucking Motley Crue doing the 360, fucking Tommy Lee doing the fucking solo upside down. This is the Decrepit Birth version where you just kind of float a little bit in the garage.
Mixed with Spinal Tap.
Yeah, we did it. At the time, Matt and his girlfriend were living in this house in Santa Cruz, and there was a little dilapidated one-car garage. And he renovated the whole damn thing into a temporary studio. And we recorded the drums in this little studio. And that stuff was really, really crazy. I remember he had sent me some of the scratch tracks to listen to. And I'm listening to them, I'm like, dude, I don't know what the hell's going on. There was a couple songs. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't know how we're going to approach this.
I've heard those, dude. Oh man, they're crazy.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about those tracks.
Yeah.
So you're saying that some of the drumming had to be toned down because it was just too crazy in the scratch tracks?
Dude, he had those scratch tracks of those original songs that were like insane. Dude.
It was too much. Some of it was not humanly possible. I'm like, dude, you have to realize. I remember I sat down with him. I'm like, some of this stuff is just really impossible to pull off and execute like your drum machine. There's just no human's going to be able to do some crazy fill like that, you know what I mean? Down toms at like 250, like then back up, down. So we worked together on it. That album, that without a doubt, that was one of the most difficult or challenging recordings I ever did because there was so much involved. It was really, really intricate. And it was the first of its kind. A lot of people, a lot of the younger guys I talked to, they're like, man, that album, that is the pioneer album of techie death metal. Like that was before everything. It kind of was. I didn't really. It was a big game changer in the Cali scene specific, dude. Like every one of us were like, God damn, dude. That's what's going on right now. Okay, we got to fucking hit the books again, guys. And fucking and
I remember I got this call on the phone from like my friends David and Josh that were like in the car, and they're like up in like the Bay Area, and I was down here in San Diego, and they're like, dude, you gotta check out this new album. It's like on this message, like it's Decrepit Birth, like it's because we had never heard of them, and it was like it's fucking Tim Yeung on drums, and I knew who you were from Hate Eternal and stuff and stuff.
Oh, right on.
And then I was like, this is like 2003 or whatever, and then like it just sounds all crazy, and it's Derek Boyer, on bass from Deprecated, because we love Deprecated, and I was just like, what the fuck? I just hear on my head, like on my phone, it's just like all crazy, and they're just like, oh, is it Derek? There's like hang up, and I'm just like, holy shit! And I had to go order the physical copy from Spin Records in Carlsbad, and it like took a couple of weeks, and I had to get the physical one, and then got it, and it was just like, I was like, I already knew your drum sound, and I was like, dude, what the hell is this? This is so insane.
Yeah, it was an insane record to record on. I can only imagine how insane it was playing those songs. So let me ask you this, Casey, how was it learning those songs? Because I tell you one thing now, it would take me an enormous amount of time to learn and be able to execute. I watched you play those songs, and it was remarkable. But how was it learning practice stuff?
Yeah, well, there were certain songs that were like off limit songs, like Rebirth, whatever was the like eternal off limit song. Like, we're never gonna play Rebirth, okay? So just don't even,
Which one is that? Is that the one with the drum fill in the beginning?
I think so. I mean, Rebirth is
Track 5, right? Rebirth of Consciousness.
It's like the most insane song like on the album. It's like so.
I'm gonna look it up right now because
dude, I can put. Well, actually, I can't. Whatever.
Unique Leader will sue us, dude.
Yeah.
I think for that you just get demonetized for Unique Leader, but for
dude,
like,
it was a fucking joke.
I don't know.
Rebirth
of Consciousness. Yeah, that was
that's the song. Yeah, that one. Piecing that song together was hard. So and like how it was recorded. I'm sure Matt told you how we did it. We just did everything in sections. I learned format, and then we cut and paste it, kind of like every album is recorded and done now. But that was kind of a new way to do it. I mean, the only other album I knew that was done like that in the early 2000s for extreme metal was the Nile Black Seeds of Vengeance album.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which Derek did in a pretty quick amount of time.
Mm.
Like he did the whole album like one fucking day. But he had gotten a lot of it down. I guess he had told me he had heard scratch tracks or whatever, but he drove up there and banged it out. And the rest was history.
I think that's partially why I fucking always think of Derek Roddy and Tim Yeung in the same, realm for me, because of those two albums, Black Seeds and And Time Begins. Like, those two records came at me at a time where that type of drumming wasn't really going on in anything else that I was listening to, so it was just, we were talking about how you got to get more extreme, and that was the next extreme thing at the time was Black Seeds and Time Begins, dude. And you're just like, oh fuck, so this is how it can be done now. Like,
it just opened this whole world. Like, same with the what's it called, what's the Morbid Angel album with the opening of the gates, fucking
Gateways to Annihilation.
Hearing Sandoval do that part in opening the gates, just going like, what the fuck, this is a possible thing. Like, I didn't know
that's
like
the Godfather right there. It's like a great,
hearing the double bass, and like my whole dream from that was just like, I love the slow like tremolo riffs of the double bass that was like inhuman, at the time,
really none of us would be doing, playing the BPMs that we're playing if it weren't for Pete. Was the first guy that really pushed the bar and really
think about World Downfall when it happened, like being the metal kids and the grind kids come across World Downfall from Terrorizer in the late 80s. And then that is the same thing. Like, that was their And Time Begins, their fucking Black Seeds of Vengeance.
It's like a level up.
It leveled up. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, the Split Time Blast played that fast was unheard of. I mean, Napalm was getting close and all that kind of shit too, but it's really Pete the Feet who fucking showed us what fucking grind should really sound like, dude.
Yeah, he really had it down to a science. He got it down to where no one played it like he did. And he's a very special player. Even to this day, there isn't anyone that has that feel that he has. He's got a really unique, special approach on the drum kit. And Yeah, he's just one of those guys, man. He's like the Muhammad Ali of extreme metal drummers. You know, he's just
dude.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very, very important, essential guy. And
well, he's definitely more competent and more alive than Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you know, it's being a professional boxing has its setbacks sometimes as far as your health.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I feel like the torch got passed on though, like to the next generation, which is like you or like Roddy and then you and stuff. And then of course, Callias, you know, and you know, you guys are like the three, like, I mean, it's kind of like for like the, you know, bad, I mean, everyone's doing the double strokes now. There's all that going on and everything. I wanted to ask you about that too, but like, you know, just for like powerful playing single strokes, like the fastest dudes, like you guys are the three that still to me are like, I mean, 20 years later, I'm like, it's the top guys, you know,
wow.
Basically, you know.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. Yeah. It's pretty cool to be involved, or to know that I'm involved in that, you know, I guess that circle of, you know, Derek and George. I look up to both of those guys, immensely as players, and they're both great friends. I mean, I've been friends with Derek for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And George Colias, I've been friends with for, you know, a good decade now. And him and I have toured together, and they're just awesome dudes. I'm glad we're all still here, you know, for, you know, as crazy as the world is right now. Hopefully we'll get back to being able to tour at some point. Normally I you know, we'll see, but yeah, that's really awesome. I'm really it makes me feel really, really good inside to know that I had in my playing and the stuff that I did 20 years ago still has some sort of relevance now, because not everybody can say that, you know, say that their stuff is still relevant, or, you know, someone even still appreciates it. So I'm really grateful for that.
I can't tell you how many times I've been playing drums and doing a blast beat, and in my mind just thinking, I wish it sounded like Tim Yeung, fucking, you know, like like trying to match that sound. And of course, like coming from before with like Mike Smith and you know, and of course Cool Ross or like Doug Bone or like, you know, Suffo guys, or you know, you and like Pete Sandoval before that and all that stuff. But man, like, yeah, dude,
good stuff, man. Yeah, there's a lot of great players, and
for sure.
And right now, I'll be honest, I really don't know a whole ton of what's going on.
Yeah, we're the same way.
In the underground world. I do see a lot of guys doing like the doubles on their feet and doubles on their hands. I saw a kid on Instagram, and I don't even know who he is, but it just popped up on my feed, and this kid is ripping. He's doing 2-foot blast, which I don't really like the 2-foot. It's, you know, and that split blast versus the 1-foot blast is kind of like the same debate as the guitar players have, as opposed to like, okay, well, what you're cross picking it or down picking it, you know what I mean? So I think only guitar players or drummers are the people that really pick up on that type of stuff. So me being a drummer, I pick up immensely on a 1-foot blast versus the 2-foot blast. And to me, I think the 2-foot blast, although it is much more efficient, you're not exerting yourself to nearly as much as a 1-foot. I just think that the 1-foot blast has a certain special feel, and that's just kind of the authentic way to play that beat. You know, so I've always done that. I can split blast if I want to. I don't really use that. I don't do that. I can gravity blast if I want. I don't use that either. And the doubling on I think the doubling on the kick drum, I don't really do that, because your pedals have to be kind of set up to do that.
Yeah, and the kick drum, the head and everything, right, and stuff.
Yep, everything's usually really tight. Mm-hmm. And the problem is with the people and the drummers that double hit is you get no leverage, you get no power from it. So it's cool, but you're not really hitting the drum like it should be hit. And I think drums sound really good when you beat the shit out of them.
That's kind of what Roddy was saying too, is like, what do you sound like as a drummer? Like when I'm listening to you as a drummer, how do you sound like versus like, you know, if you could tap a little hammer or something like that on your kick and have a certain speed to it. But like, what do you sound like as an acoustic drummer is what like Roddy
like
was
if you're
all
standing
about.
behind the drummer like live and like, you know, if you're not hearing the triggers, you're just seeing them like, if they're doing you're going to hear the kicks with the singles.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you see a guy, and there's some fast players that are like, I mean, some of these younger dudes that are like they're 280, like 300 BPM.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
I'm like, that's insane. But then I watch the technique that goes along with it to hit that BPM, and it's not powerful. It's not impacting, and it's just kind of like you're tapping the drum. I'm not really a fan of it. I'm not saying that I don't respect or give credit towards. I mean, that's remarkable to practice and get to that to be able to play at that speed is remarkable. But for me, it's not appealing to me. I mean, you can tap something at 300, but if it's like, if it's a little louder than, a fly farting, then it's not really
So did they have to like turn up the sensitivity of the trigger too to catch all of that?
Of course,
I know that like,
yeah.
At a certain point, you don't hit it hard. You hit it hard enough, it's not going to register. So it's like, obviously, if it's lighter tapping, then it's got to be a super sensitive trigger to catch those BPMs.
I mean,
totally. I think a lot of the younger guys that do that, they fall way too dependent on the triggers and the technology to compensate for the light hits. I really think if you get behind an acoustic kit, don't hook up your triggers. Don't turn your PA on. Get on the drums and hit them. Play with a dude with a guitar cranked up and see if you can keep it his level with just hitting your drums so they can be heard. I think that is really what will make you, in my eyes, more well-rounded. Because I think after a while, if you're playing it 270, 280, whatever, but you're hitting really light, short strokes, and you have to have a trigger set up for everyone to hear what you're doing, I think it becomes more of a novelty than it does a skill set.
And all you guys that like it at that speed, like, listen to something at like 210, 220 and on a good fucking stereo system. And it's going to fucking hit hard, dude. On the double bass parts, it's still going to feel just as fucking metal, dude. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like Morbid Angel Covenant, that's a ripping album. I don't think there's a song that's over 245 on that album. I think the fastest that's on there is like 230 something, maybe 240. But 240 may even be pushing it. But if you play that shit with no mics and you can hit the drums hard playing that stuff, that it's not easy.
It's killer though.
Like,
it's killer when it's done right.
Yeah. So I this is kind of my take. Maybe I sound like an old guy. And again, I'm not discrediting the younger guys that are doing these incredibly impressive, like 280, 300. I just think that, that's not what I do, obviously. But I think if that's, if you're doing that and that works for you, then, hey, the most important thing is have a good time, have fun. It's not a pissing contest.
Totally.
You got to enjoy yourself more importantly than anything. But I
wasn't taking a stance like that either. I'm just saying, there's everything's for everybody, It was just me being like, hey, dude, listen to Old Deeds of Flesh and tell me that double bass doesn't feel fucking way more punchier.
It's all a preference thing, and like styles are going to change and evolve and try new things, and it's really insane when people can nail it at that speed. Of course, it's like really impressive. And it's new and it's something different, which is cool and all that, But yeah, I don't know. I think that it's kind of like just the style that you're into, like like hearing something like played at a certain tempo, like it's basically like, okay, is it more brutal, like? Or like what's the art, like, so like, is faster like endlessly more brutal, so like we get to this level where it just tops off more brutal, okay, but like sometimes like going back to listen to like Despise the Sun, like with Kularos, and it's like slower and it's way more brutal than like the faster shit up here.
Totally. If you watch Dave play those songs, like try to mimic what he's doing. His stick is coming up here when he's coming on the snare on the blast.
Dude, so good.
His pedal is going all the way back to go all the way into the head when he's flying, playing at 220, 230 on double bass. So that to me is pretty goddamn impressive, because you could put him on a huge stage with 90,000 people and you'll hear his drums.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, when you're on these big stages, like this tapping stuff, it doesn't really project as opposed to like hitting hard. Oh, you know, right now, like, you know, I do I Am Morbid with David. David and I left Morbid Angel in 2015, unfortunately. But those songs are very, I mean, there's no 260, you know what I mean? Morbid Angel has a lot of slow meat and potato stuff as well. So, and I enjoy to play those songs. And I think there's more challenge with a slow song, or just as much challenge with a slow song as there is a 260 or 270 BPM song.
Yeah, for sure.
And a slow song, everyone hears it.
Exactly.
If you fuck up the 250, it, like, most people don't even know.
It's a good point. Yep.
You know.
Do you think that comes from? I know you and Roddy kind of come from the same school of thought with the hard hitting and stuff like that. Do you think that comes from like your influences? Like you said, Tommy Lee was an influence when you were a kid. You could just hear, you could see the drums or see how hard he's hitting him and stuff like that. And then going from that and applying it to death metal. Do you think that's like, because nowadays kids are just starting at, you know, insanity. It's like they didn't climb the ladder to anything. They just basically got there. You know what I mean?
The elevator.
Exactly.
Right there. It's you know,
getting right there. You think that like that's where the influence of like the hard hitting comes from, like the upbringing of like seeing the hard rock drummers that were doing it, like even just going like back to Bonham or like going like deep back in the days and stuff, and then seeing how it's kind of evolved.
I think so. I mean, I think visually the guys that I looked up to when I would see them play and I saw how they were playing, I thought it was really appealing, like especially watching Tommy play. Tommy also is an entirely different build than I am. He's like 6'2", and he's really skinny and long and lanky. He sits really low, and his setup's different, but he hits hard naturally because his limbs are really,
come down.
He's up here. My arms aren't that long, so I compensate for my shorter arm span with a longer drumstick. I use an Extreme 5B, and that helps. But yeah, to me, I always thought it was drums were supposed to be hit. You're supposed to hit them. You don't have to necessarily just unnecessarily beat the shit out of them, even though it is really fun. It is. I like to hit hard. I hit hard as fuck live, but. When you watch videos of John Bonham didn't hit extremely hard. He really didn't.
Okay.
He did hit fairly hard, but he didn't hit as hard as everyone expected him or expects him or thinks that he played. He wasn't a super power, like just laying into the drums like crazy. And his drums were tuned high. There's another thing.
Okay.
His drums were tuned like a big band drum set. So everything, there were big toms, 13, 16, 18 floors, I think a 26-inch kick. Everything was pitched up pretty high, which helped the drums project. And especially when with extreme metal, when you have these big drums or everything tuned really low, everything gets muddy and sounds messy. So I think when you have higher frequencies, if you tune your drums a little higher, sometimes that helps stuff to cut a little better, I think. But overall, I mean, everyone plays entirely different. I always like to pride myself that I hit hard, especially, and this is the most annoying thing, because I don't know how many times we've been on a big festival or I've played a huge festival and I've heard a band and they're playing like a skank beat, like one of those, and then they'll go into a blast and all you hear is kick drum and no snare. And the snare just disappears, and then back into it, the snare comes back, and I'm like, "Are you not hearing what I'm hearing? Because I hear that pretty clear. Your snare is just disappearing on the blasts." So I always tried to hit a lot harder. In fact, on a lot of the blasts, it sounds bad because it's incorrect technique wise. But I use a lot of arm on my left hand to make sure that the hits are loud and heard, and they don't get lost or washed out. It's an important thing is being consistent with your hits too. You don't want to be wailing on your kit and then come to a fast part and then you just start playing like a mouse, So yeah, consistency I think is a good thing, especially live.
I think we got a few more fan questions. I thought there was a few more, right, Joseph?
I was gonna say if you're down, you kind of were touching on this earlier, so maybe we come back to it. But somebody specifically asked what it was like hearing Casey play the End Time Begins material for the first time.
Yeah, I think I thought we were
where did I first see you play? Was it either the Whiskey or maybe it was in Anaheim or something.
I think it was the showcase, actually, that show that you guys were talking about.
Okay, then it was. Yeah.
Because I have a picture somewhere of us, like,
I remember watching it. I remember being blown away because I after we recorded everything and I heard the album, I'm like, man, they're going to have a hard time getting someone to play these songs. These songs are hard. So I remember watching you just nail it, and I was really blown away, man. I really was.
Oh,
I was
shit,
like,
that's a huge honor.
Wow.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. I was really, I was just.
I think we all were blown away because we were like, dude, this is the first human we've seen play. Because you were in the studio, Tim. So there wasn't videos of you. Was there videos of you recording at all?
No, I don't know if there is.
Yeah, so that and
pictures.
It was like a MySpace deal, and you're just like, dude, here's a human playing these songs, dude. And
MySpace, I remember that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Totally, dude.
Flashback, yeah.
And
we need to bring that back, man. I miss
and
MySpace.
hearing Devouring
me
too.
too.
So it's like the ambition from Devouring for you to like go for it, Casey, and learn those songs. Like that's, I just think that was a jump for you as well too.
Well, I was like, I'll just go for it. Like, fuck it if I can't do it. But like, I remember being in San Diego. It was like 2004, and I was like, all right, so like, and I was like showing my friends this album, and you know, I got the CD and Time Begins, and they're all just like, oh my god, dude, that drummer is like, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah. And then like I just made I was like gonna move up north, and I was like, yeah, I'll just give it a shot. And I just moved up to San Francisco, and I hit up Matt, and I was like, hey man, down to like just try this shit. Like I'll do. And he was like, all right, cool, man. Like right on. And he had recorded us with my band Odious, Tim.
Yeah.
And so we recorded with him like earlier that year in March. And so we did that album. That's what Anthony's referring to. And so, it was basically, I was just like, I'm just going to go for it, dude, and try really hard. And so, and honestly, like the only way I was able to play that stuff was from practicing like 3 days a week, 3-hour sessions, like just doing it over and over and over. And like, I kind of mapped the shit out. Like I was doing it in a funny way. I was using like Power Tab editor, and I would like use numbers, like, and I was like doing my own little system of like, and then I kind of got the vibe after like I figured it out. I was like, oh, he's just doing like extensions of parts, like 3s and 4s of like 1, 2, 3, and it's like an extra 3 or 4, you know?
So you actually you actually put together, you charted that stuff.
Well, kind of, yeah, but not like literally like how it is played. It was more like charting like a super simplified version of like, and also the like the timings more. Not like exactly like what you played, you know. But I tried really hard to like exactly what you did, you know.
It was that I saw that, I was like, wow, he's nailing all this.
Oh, shit, thanks,
I was pretty blown away, and it was awesome to watch those songs. The songs that I recorded and then later on heard on the album, but actually watching them breathe and be alive, because a song you can track all you want. A song isn't really alive unless you play it on a stage and you play it in a live audience. That's where you have something and it's actually breathing. It's living and breathing. So to actually see those songs living and breathing and being, that was pretty cool, man. I just remember going, holy shit. And I know that just had to been a ton of work, because I was listening to this stuff and I'm like, God damn, I was even like, I don't even know if I could do this stuff live. And to be honest with you, even to this day, I don't even know if I could do all those songs like live.
I'm sure you know,
that's so it's, man, good deal, man. That was, yeah, it
was so fun
really
back
awesome.
In those days, man. It was so fun. You came out and like took a picture. I was trying to find it, but I can't find it. But it was, maybe I will in a minute. But it was like so cool, dude. I was like so honored, and you were like always, man, so cool, like such a chill dude. Like you were like a rock star to me, but you were just always such like in my mind. But you were like just a bro, like just like you are now, man. It's like,
fuck yeah,
so, like,
dude.
I'm so stoked to have you on. I was like, dude, Tim's cool, man. It's gonna be so fucking dope. And when you said you were available, I was like, it's gonna fucking rule.
That's awesome. Dude. Yeah.
I remember like seeing you in the backstage and just like being like, "Oh shit, there's fucking Tim Young. Fuck, I need to get my slice of pizza." I'm like, I was like nervous.
My slice of pizza.
That's what we got. I mean, that's basically what we got paid. That was like my payment was like a slice of pizza. But like going back there, I know going back there and just being like, "Oh fuck, Tim Young's back here." Shit, I don't know. I'm like starstruck. I need to leave.
Play faster.
That's awesome.
You go to look for a water bottle, they're already gone, dude. You're like, fuck you, man.
Matt's like, yeah, dude, it's gonna be a sick show. Oh, also, by the way, Tim Young's in the audience, and I'm like, oh, sick, dude, cool, right? No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah. I gotta please. No, you nailed it, man. I just remember this. I just remember everything was really solid and really tight, and I was just blown away how remarkably like I was like, this is like fucking album. It's right on. There was no, I don't recall any major hiccups or flubs. It was a really well-oiled machine. The whole set was just really remarkably badass.
And imagine we
this is a very honorable moment. Let me just absorb this right now.
No, totally. And I want to add to it by saying
so
like not
nice.
only what he's saying is true, but we had toured so many times where you would do an odious set and a decrepit set every fucking night, dude.
That's right. And weren't you like one tour? Did I see you when you were double duty?
We did do double duties. You might have, man. I don't even
There's
know.
been multiple double duty situations.
I wanted to say though that fucking this, well, like I'm kind of pulling it back for a second, but you were talking about putting on a show and how you play Tim and stuff. And like for me, one of the first, like it actually was later that I saw Calais, but like I saw Roddy doing the Conquering tour in 2000, you know, Cannibal Corpse. So that was like when I was like 17 and I was just like, holy shit, like that blew me away. And then like, you know, I've seen like Kevin Talley with Dying Fetus back and then and all this stuff. And, you know, Tony with Nile back in that time. And then you come along with fucking Vital Remains and like Dave Suzuki. And it was, I saw you at the Galaxy Theater in Santa Ana. And I don't know what year it was. I don't know exactly what age I was, but dude, that fucking, I was like, the first time I'm going to see Tim Young play live. And it was so fucking badass, dude. Like Glenn Benton with the and everything. And you put on a show, like your drums were way up all high and your toms sounded, talking about the small toms. Like I was like, oh, that cut so good, that 8-inch and the 10, and like you were doing like,
shit. Yeah. That might have been like, 03 or 04.
Sounds right. Yeah, it's before I moved back up to the Bay or moved up.
Okay, did I have a Pearl kit?
Yeah, I think it was a Pearl. It was like a natural finish kit, I think it was.
Yep, that was a Pearl. What the fuck series was that? It was a BLX, I think.
Mm-hmm.
BRX, something like that. It was a Masters, I think. That was a really good kit, and I pieced that whole thing together on eBay. Now I remember, I only toured with that kit in 03 and 04. 04 I toured. So that was 04. That was with Glenn
Okay.
Ben.
Yeah. That was okay.
Yeah.
That was the year that I moved. Yeah. And so that was the year I joined Decrepit, actually. That's crazy. That in fall. But yeah, man, dude.
That's crazy.
You murdered it though. I was gonna just with all the stick twirls and the cymbal grabs and all the shit. I was like,
oh, sweet.
like it was like, I mean, you were perfectly playing Vital Remains dechristianized shit. Like, I mean, already just like a guy who could like not move and play that, I'd be like totally impressed. But like
that was at the
you were doing that and
that came through the Pound, right? That tour.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But he was spinning his sticks, twirling his hair, playing this shit and grabbing cymbals and just like, dude. So that showmanship that you were talking about, it translated like huge to me at that. I was like, dude, okay. So like I've seen guys shred, but like Jesus Christ. Like, and it was like the show of it too. Like your drums were way up on a high thing. It was like perfect. It's like insane.
Dude.
I was like,
that's badass. Thank you, man. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. That was I had to have been 04. I was just trying to think because you said it was right when you joined Decrepit Birth. So yeah, it was 04. When I saw you play with Decrepit Birth, that had to have been 05 because I believe
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe I had just moved out here.
Yeah. That's right.
So I remember seeing. Yep, I remember. Yeah, that was a showcase. Yeah, that what happened.
Dude, it was one of the double. It was a double duty thing then. If it was that showcase in 05, because we didn't do bloodletting until 07, right? Or no, 06. 06 we did bloodletting. So 05 would have been showcase going down south. doing like the 4 dates that we did or whatever, and come back home.
So Tim, were you like, sorry to cut in, but Tim, like your style and stuff and your live stage presence, were you ever considered? Because you do kind of remind me of like someone that like influenced someone like Joey Jordison or something like that, like someone that like influenced, like, you know, were you ever considered? Because I mean, he does like the you know, the windmills while he's drumming and stuff like that. Were you ever considered for Slipknot? When that,
I think Tim would be a sick Slipknot drummer.
That's what I'm saying. He kind of like would be like a natural, like a thing, you know, for like a humongous band like that. Was that ever an option? Like, it seems like it.
You know what? I reached out when when I knew that they were going to replace Joey. I had reached out to 2 of the band members, and then I had like a handful of people reach out to their management, because I was like, you know, I've been a fan. I really like their earlier albums, like the first 3 albums. I like a lot. And so I was like, when I knew that he was going to be replaced, I extended it out. I was even like, dude, you could literally put a mask on me and you won't even know that anybody was, you won't even know that he was replaced.
You even got his hair. You got his hair from like back
I know,
in
totally.
99 and shit.
Yeah, that was it was interesting. There was a time where he broke his ankle too, and he couldn't tour, and that was in like 2009 or whatever. And I was actually trying to fill in for him at that point. You know, it didn't work out the way, you know, obviously I didn't get the gig there with them, but that would have been fun. It would have been fun to do. It probably would have been probably a good paying gig as well. But they seem to be doing good now. And, you know, unfortunately, Joey passed this year. It's pretty sad. Dude. You know, it's kind of a bummer. But you know, we're all on borrowed time here. So I'd say, you know, do what you love to do and what is important to you. And, you know, it's important to always remember that your time here is not going to be forever. So it's very valuable and you never get it back. So,
and everybody eventually gets to that point where they have to reflect on everything. You want to look back on that shit and say that shit was fucking rad, dude.
Totally. Yep. That's really, you know, the words of wisdom right there, man. You got to go back. And, you know, there's nothing worse than, like, for me at least, and we all have this. We all have a what if, you know what I mean? Like, what if, you know what I mean? But those always kind of suck because you're always stuck with a what if, even if you did something and it sucked. Well, at least you tried it and you knew it sucked. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you on that. You know, look back and be like, wow, that was fucking rad. Or, hey, it wasn't fucking rad, but I tried. And at least I know. So, yeah, man, it's weird. And I can't believe that it's been 20 years. We're talking about stuff that I did 20 years ago. I don't even know where all this time went. It just seems like not too long ago, I was in my 20s. And I'm gonna be fucking 43 next month. Right.
I just turned to, and I mean, I know it's younger than you, but 37. That's another one where I'm like, damn, dude, it's literally
37 is gnarly. 37
I'm in the middle of the
38,
last. I know, but check me out. That 37 is that age where you're like, dude, I'm in the middle of the last half of my 30s, dude. I'm waking up on that big 4-0, dude. Before I know it, it's here. But it's like, dude, I'm still having a fucking blast, you know, and I want to make sure that I'm having a blast every day as much.
And Tim looks fucking younger than all of us. Just want to point that out real quick.
He looks exactly the same, dude. He looks exactly the fucking same, dude.
What a trip.
Got me pickled, but no, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I've actually refrained a little over 4 months from drinking alcohol, so that's been kind of interesting.
Wish we could say the same.
Yeah. See both you guys with your White Claws. Dude,
I know. Well, I mean, after the last one, I was drinking these pretty dope beers, but they just creep up on you. Last one, I heard myself at the end of it because they were like, "Oh, really? Dude, you're coming a little crazy at the end." So I listened to it and I was like, "Yeah, dude, I was fucking slurring pretty hard towards the end." So I'm like,
what are they, like an IPA or what
yeah, it was like a double hazy IPA, so it was like 8%. But they're tall boys. They're like the pint. So I drink 4 of those and then I get into these. But that's only on the pod, dude. It's only on the pod.
Fuck it, man.
It's only recorded forever.
Yeah, we're the representation of me as a human. I want to make sure that I'm inebriated as possible.
Tim, how did you get hooked up with Nile and doing the Nile tour? Or how many tours did you end up doing with Nile?
I only did one tour with Nile, and it was actually a pretty critical tour for me because that was the actual tour where I had determined that I knew that I was going to move to LA. But Carl gave me. Carl called me. He had gotten my number, I think from Eric or from someone else, some word of mouth. And Tony couldn't do one of the tours. I think something had happened. Tony was going to help Malevolent Creation do a tour, and he wasn't available for the Nile tour. And it was a Danzig tour. I think they were it was brought to them at last minute. And Tony, being an honorable guy, he agreed to do a tour. And when you agree to do something, your word is your bond. So he had to fulfill his commitment with Malevolent Creation. And those songs, Tony's another incredible player. And it was really, the material was really, it was hard. They couldn't find anybody. I don't even know how I did it. I was listening. I liked Nile. So I already knew the songs that I had to learn anyways. But I had to learn like 14 songs in 7 days. And I did it. I learned So Carl rented a van, drove up to Rochester, New York from Greenville, South Carolina, picked me up and my gear, drove me down. I stayed with him. We rehearsed for a week, and then we hit the road. And it was like, it was an arena tour, so there were big shows, but it was that's what happened. I did one, and then Tony came back, and then I ended up doing Vital, and I just stayed with Vital up until that ran its course. And so I was never offered to join Nile or anything. It was just a fill-in tour. I think at one point he needed me for another tour, and I wasn't available. And I think that's when he had found George. And I think the rest was history there.
I have to praise you again with what you just said, and I have to also praise our homie Gabe Sieber having that I'm gonna fucking learn 14 songs in 7 days and be able to go out on the road after that.
Yeah.
It's like
an arena tour too. It's not like
I know, but
clubs.
it's like, regardless of where it's going to be played, it's all about like being able to fucking get to the point of even performing 14 songs in 7 days. If you've never played them before, it's just so mind boggling to me, to learn something like that quick and be that efficient with it. So it's like, you guys have this like, it's just something to how your brain and body works at the same time, because you need the physical fitness to be able to play these songs, so it's like mind and body, but it's also like extra, to be able to pack all that in 7 days and then just be like, all right, dude, let's do this.
Some of those Laureano songs, especially, like, he went fucking nuts on that In Dark and Shrines album. So I'm sure that learning that material was a lot of fun as well as being challenging.
Yeah, well, it was fun to learn because I liked the material and those songs were ripping, but there was some challenging stuff, and it was, there was, his stuff. There were, his songs were really demanding. Black Seeds were demanding. It was really awesome to be able to do that and be involved. And I had the honor of working with some really remarkable artists and bands over the years in my career. And that was a particularly cool highlight. It was a lot of fun, and it was a life-changing experience for me overall. I learned a lot. Maybe I think every gig that you take or every job that you get, or regardless on what field or whatever, there's always something to learn from with a different dynamic, whether it's working with different people or different environment or whatever it is. So I've learned a little bit from each gig I've had and learned a little more about my playing as well. But that was a great tour. It's cool to say I got on there, and that literally, that was a tour where when I came to LA, I was like, okay, I'm moving here. That was cool. Yeah.
Is there a particular tour where like the material was the most difficult? Like if you had to pick one, like you're like, that was the hardest to play?
Probably not.
All right.
I would actually honestly say probably not, because that stuff is like, it's all over the place. I mean, you listen to the way they structure their songs, there will be a drum fill to transition to the next part, but the guitars are doing the fill with the drums. So you can't just wing the drum fill. The drum fill is completely locked into the guitar part. So it's kind of an interesting way that Carl does, you know, the way he writes and stuff that because every Nile song does, you know, there's a lot of that in Nile material. Mm-hmm. There's a crazy fill or transition, and the guitars and the drums do a crazy long fill into the next transition.
Yeah.
You
explaining that, I'm like hearing it in my head right now. There's that signature Nile roll with the guitar that goes with it, and it's everything's on an exact perimeter in that fill.
So those little nooks and crannies are essential. If you're a little off or one hit early, it fucks the whole song up. Very, very hard, very challenging. The Morbid Angel stuff was really hard too in the beginning because you know, it was, you know, I had a lot, you know, it was a lot on my, like, I felt I had a lot to prove. So I was really determined to lock it in. But eventually those songs, I mean, I picked up on those songs pretty quick because I listened to them for a long, long time. You know, it's like I play those songs like, you know, I don't even think I just go into autopilot. I mean, you know, I've been playing these.
I just feel like you're like the obvious replacement for Morbid Angel. Like it's like there is no other drummer that would be more perfect than you after Pete. Like I don't know. That's it.
You know, I think there were other guys that I think could have done a great job as well. I think I definitely I was prepared. I know I did a lot of interviews and a lot of stuff for press and I got a lot of people asking me like, are you ready to, you know, did you feel ready to do this? Was it too much? I'm like, why is it too much? Well, what's too much? If that's too much in stress of filling someone that's, you know, irreplaceable or playing, it's like kind of anything else. You're there, you're going to do what you do and bring what you know, however you do it. It's almost kind of like acting. When someone hires an actor to play the role of someone, they don't think, man, this is nerve wracking. I have to play Abraham Lincoln or I have to play
007, like,
whomever. Yeah.
But some people would think about like, you know, you're filling the shoes. So it's like, there's the elitist guys that are like, oh, dude, it's fucking, he's not Pete Sandoval, fucking all this, you know. Like that, but some dudes I'm not saying you specifically, but like a lot of people would let that get in their head if they got the Morbid gig, you know? So it's like to hear you say, it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like I'm going to fucking go do my job. Like I'm going to bat off the bullshit and just do my Tim Young shit and and that's it. That's the fucking mentality that gets you going and gets you continuing getting fucking gigs and jobs, dude.
100%. I mean, it's cool because I wanted to keep certain elements and play certain things the way Pete played them, but I also wanted to incorporate how I do things as well without taking away from the things that I like that he did, and then overall the songs. And I did the best I could do as far as, you know, giving the stuff justice. I play a little, no one plays like Pete. He's got a really special feel. So I think that when I played the songs, they were definitely a lot more locked into a solid, I just was used to playing in a solid time, almost to a point where Trey and David were both like, hey, settle this part down a little bit, slow it down in this part or speed this part up. The Morbid Angel stuff is really shifty. Mm-hmm. It fluctuates. You can't play it to a click.
It's fluid,
I think it was a big challenging thing was learning how to push certain parts and then when to hold back and settle down in certain parts. But it's cool. You know, you're factoring, you're using your creativity. I mean, you're still kind of trying to honor the songs and I try to honor Pete's playing as well as like, in fact, when I recorded the song Nevermore for the Illumina album, I actually listened to all 5 or 6 different YouTube clips of Pete playing that song live. And I replicated and mimicked a lot of his fills because I wanted to do that to just pay tribute and homage to him. And I feel kind of bad because I never really talked to him after, like during or after playing Morbid Angel, to ever reach out to him. I never did. I've given him much respect and love through interviews and what have you. But it was pretty remarkable to fill in for, replace someone that was deemed irreplaceable,
Totally.
But it was, never did I think, I'm not ready for this. Like, fuck that. I'm 200% ready for this. I'll whatever I got to do,
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I played along to Covenant like so many times just to learn how to play extreme metal drums. So like, I guess if there was like a band where I could feel like I could already play half the songs in the set, it'd be like Morbid Angel. So like, I can imagine feeling a bit ready more than like some tech death band that's like way more complicated or something. Those songs are just like staples, and everyone has at least tried to play them. So
definitely, they're great. There's a lot of meat and potatoes, there. And when you have to learn material for a band, if you like the material, or the material, at least, even if you know it, that's always an advantage. If you're a fan and you listen to it, you definitely have the advantage. When I played for All That Remains, I never heard All That Remains before. I never knew any of their material. And I had 5 or 6 days to learn 7 or 8 songs. And I was learning them on a table. I was tapping on an airplane with my headphones. And it was cool. It was challenging because I never heard the material. And then they're like, we're going out with Kill Switch Engage for 3.5 weeks. And then we do 3.5 weeks in the UK with Dragon Force. Okay, fly me out. And I remember I didn't have a job. I had a job. I was working at a Cragen Auto Parts, which is O'Reilly now. And I was actually the next morning, I got a phone call. I was staying with this girl and I got into a fight with her. So I went to my friend Kyle's house, Kyle Conkill. He's the bass player for Bad Wolves now. And he's been in a bunch of other. Yeah. I slept on his floor in his bedroom at his mom's house in Tahunga. And me and him drank Jack Daniels and just talked about whatever. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I need to just go back home. Like, I was still working on Divine Heresy and what was going to be Divine Heresy. And then I got a call that morning and he was there and I was like, I got to go quit my job.
Damn.
I went and quit my job. I put my 2 weeks notice in and they were actually cool with me. They were like, you know what? They're like, you're cool, man. Don't worry about it. Do your thing. You don't even have to do the rest of your 2 weeks. We're on good terms. So I left on good terms. I never wanted to burn a bridge. I always wanted to, like, if you're going to bow out of something, just do it honorably,
Yep.
Or how, unless it's just absolutely miserable. Like, I think I've worked on a couple of jobs. Everybody's had one job, where you're there and then you're there like an hour and it's like, feels like 6 hours and you're like, man, fuck this.
Yeah. No.
Damn.
So all that remains though, you're saying you had like such a short time to hear, like to listen to it and prepare for it. Was there a part where you're like, that you haven't actually played, but you're listening to because you're on repetition, listening to this stuff constantly, getting it down, but you haven't actually played on a kit that you're actually like, you show up to the fucking first jam and you have to play and you're like, yeah, on the airplane. I remember this part. Like you didn't actually like fucking like hit the fucking kit, you didn't strike a kit. Yeah. You basically just knew what was going on. You were like, yeah, I know what's going on here. Like, I'll just go and play with these guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
It's more or less, you got to just know your parts and then, because physically I know what to do when I get on a kit. So I don't have to question how I'm going to do it physically. I already know how I'm going to do it physically. The main challenge with learning stuff is how am I going to remember it up here, to apply what I know how to do here. So that's a really important thing. And everyone's got a different process. I know I was talking to KC about the charting earlier, which he's gone. Maybe he took a pee break, but he was saying that he had a charted. I would ask him right now. He stepped out. But
he charts a lot of shit. Like with the Odious and stuff, he would chart like drums out and be looking at like a chart while he's playing, like for songs that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember him we talked about that. I was like, that was really weird. And that's a really common thing with a lot of modern guys, or a lot of, I knew a lot of Nashville, like quite a few Nashville session players that would chart everything out. And to me, that's weird. I'm like, I just listen to something and I program it in my head. And
what blows my mind is that you guys are splitting your limbs, okay, and then talking about Casey reading as he's doing these splitting of limbs.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just fucking, I'm bowing out of this conversation.
Multitasking as a drummer, but everyone has a different way how they learn. I've just learned by just complete memorization. If I didn't get a part, I just rewind it until I get it down. And then when I have that part down, I rewind it like 4 more times and do it 4 more times. So I know that part. So I think that's kind of how I always did charting. I think I tried once or twice. I had no luck. It was way too involving. And I know it worked for you, Casey, as far as the charting parts, I think that's pretty cool. I don't know how to do that, but I know a lot of guys do the charting. A lot of guys are firm believers on that. I just memorize, just put it all in this noggin. Hopefully I don't fuck it up on stage. But I remember like the first show with All That Remains, it was like the first show right out of the bat was, where the hell were we? It was somewhere, it was in East Coast. I think it was Boston, Mass. And it's sold out. It's like 900 people. I'm like, well, I hope I don't fuck these songs up. So I don't play it. It was good. There was like a couple flubs here and there, but it was all right. We only had one rehearsal. Actually, no, we didn't. I think, maybe me and Ollie, I think, went over the songs. God rest his soul. He passed away a few years ago. Yeah. But yeah, we worked on those like briefly, just real quick, just skimmed over them. So yeah, it's learning stuff is always interesting, because everyone has a different process on how they memorize or take in, the memorization process. That's really an important part, just knowing where everything goes and how many bars this is, Yeah,
it's funny you mentioned that. I'm like learning a set right now for a band. I actually will maybe talk about it at the end of the episode, but I was like, should I put in the effort to like tap this out and chart it? And there's definitely parts where I want to like do something that wasn't done on the original part, and I'm going in and charting it right now. And it is a lot of time. It like takes hours to do a single song, because it's like extreme tech death. But I don't know, for me, and I think it was being Casey's student, like he was the guy who showed me like, I have all of And Time Begins charted, and here's like the diminishing charts. And I was like, okay, that's like doable. So I don't know. Just yeah. I'm from that school of thought for sure. Yeah.
And those songs are like, man, the Decrepit Birth stuff is so involving. And some of this other tech death metal, I'm just like, man, there's like 30 riffs for a song. I'm like, how do you remember 30 riffs?
The other thing is like, I feel like I have enough time to learn a song, but I can't, like, I'll get physically exhausted if I try to do it all physically, like playing on the kit, but I have like more like headroom to think about it.
Spinach,
so it's when I'm too tired to play, or I can't play, but I still want to learn it. That's when I'll get on it. I'm like, this is my way of practicing and getting ready. So it like splits up based on convenience or whatever. Yeah. I didn't eat my spinach too. There's
all kinds of factors. It's, you got to remember here, and then you got to physically be able to, there's just a lot going on with drums. But I think any instrument, you got to have, I mean, there's certain material has a certain demand for certain chops, and you just got to condition your body. A lot of people ask, how do I go fast? How do I get fast? That's like a big question for a lot. I still get a lot of messages on Facebook or even Instagram. How do I get fast? How do I just play? If you want to get fast, that's not hard. It's just practice through repetition. You're just conditioning your muscles to do a certain movement. So just hold drumsticks and play single notes all damn day. You'll get fast. But I don't really think that's the end result of being a great player, regardless if it's drums or guitars. But I mean, if you want to go fast, it's just like working out.
And you guys get the most cardio. Even
Definitely a lot of cardio.
I mean, you guys we get the cardio live because we get more crazier when it's in a live setting or whatever. But in the jam space, you guys are still getting just as much cardio as like a live setting. So
definitely,
you guys benefit from it the most, dude.
Almost. I mean, I exert a lot more live than I do in practice, because practice, I just I'm just practicing. My hair's back. I don't really.
Yeah. So you don't really practice you may bring up the theatrics like to half.
Oh yeah. No, you do your theatrics, and then like it takes like 5 days to get locked in. Your neck hurts, everything fucking hurts. And then your adrenaline is just going when you're on stage. It's a whole different environment than being in a rehearsal space. So when you get on a stage and you have people in front of you and you got lights and all the other crazy fun shit, it really, man, that's where you really.
How do you not practice like your show though? Because that's let's say like a band like Dillinger Escape Plan, or like a band that's like just going bananas the whole time. Like they're playing their guitar or playing their instrument in such a
you just made me imagine them in the studio just fucking wailing and going crazy.
I mean,
kicking shit around.
Like Ben Wyman, whatever. Like that guy was like climbing things and like jumping down. Like,
what if he's doing it in rehearsal though?
I feel like he's got a. I don't know how you don't practice that. I'm like, because that's like because to hold your instrument in a certain way when you're falling or doing a thing like or with you like doing a crazy beat while you're fucking windmilling. Like I feel like you have to practice that.
You do to an extent. I think some of like for me, like some of the flair that I do in some of the areas where I windmill or whatever, a lot of it's definitely premeditated and where I'm going to do this part. I can do this, I can do that. But you also, a lot of it is just trial and error live. So even like Dillinger, which they're, a crazy band as far as your theatrics on stage, they're all over the place. I think it's probably a little bit of both. Some of the stuff's premeditated where there is room in a certain part of a song where you can just lash out or do whatever. It's not as crucial, but obviously a really techie part, you might have to stand a little more still. So, I mean, it's a little bit of both. It's probably a little improv and a little premeditated as well.
Has there been a time where you decided to like windmill? They're like, oh shit, I fucked up. This is not the place to windmill.
Certain areas, but I already kind of know certain areas. Like if I'm focusing a lot or there's a weird part, I probably shouldn't do the windmill. It's more or less like the one. Some of the areas that would really throw me off sometimes, or if I were to throw in a stick twirl or throw the stick in the air. Like there's that like any time where I'm throwing a stick in the air. It's usually really like already know like this is my window to do this, and hopefully, I catch them like 80% of the time.
I was gonna say, how many times have you caught it backwards and still played with it upside down for a little bit?
Oh, you just know where it's backwards, and you're like you just got to flip it back around.
And some other crazy hand movement, just real quick, know how to twirl it.
Pretty much that, or sometimes you'll flip it and it'll do this, and you watch it. And then you just grab another one. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm not catching that one. Yeah, that's fun. So it's a lot of fun stuff, and I never really worry too much because I always know what I need. As long as I landed on the one, we're good.
Totally.
Usually, a stick flip will be where there's a stopper at the end of a song. So if there's a stop, then I got a couple seconds. Even if I lose that stick, I got room for another one somewhere.
How many sticks you got in your reserve when you
like three? I usually get gaff tape or duct tape, and I make loops on my kick drums, and I put like my tech will put like three pairs of drumsticks.
Yeah.
And if I break a stick, I throw it.
Yeah.
It just gets thrown out. I had this thing on one tour where I was doing this thing where I was hitting the snare really hard and just bouncing the stick off of the snare. It was something that I watched Morgan Rose do from Seven Dust, and I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah.
So I did it a few times, but I ended up losing a lot of drumsticks. And then I ended up kind of short. I'm like, all right, I can't really fuck around unless it's towards the end of the tour. But it was that kind of, you got to be mindful. Like when you're mid, like almost at the end of the tour and you start running out of sticks, and then like they're kind of worth gold.
Totally.
It's like, shit, we got to hold on to this, or worst case, I got to get someone to get another pair of sticks or whatever. But
I remember when I was like a kid watching. It's probably 2001 or 2 when Unearth was like a brand new band, and dude was spinning his guitar, and I was like, I've never seen like someone do that. I mean, I saw Yngwie Malmsteen maybe do it, but like before like a main part, he would spin it and catch. Like, back when that was like a new thing, you know. Now it's like everyone's trying to do it. But I was like asking about it. He's all, don't fucking do it. He's all, I have. Like, luckily, I have a fucking endorsement. I've broken like probably 17 guitars doing this.
I was gonna say, I love watching the fail videos of like high school band kids trying to do that and just like smashing the headstock on the ground.
I've seen so many funny YouTube videos of that. Or it was like some dude's playing like like an outdoor fair, and they're a metal band, and he does this, and the guitar just goes.
Oh, it goes way over. Yeah, I saw that.
It goes flying, and the guy's like, he's got a face like, oh my god, his face expression's so awesome.
He's so bummed. It's like you see it fall in the background too. You see it like fall over his head.
Oh man.
They got some serious hair, and that sucks, dude, because you can't even like pick it up and play it again. That shit's done.
He's done. Yeah,
It might be that guitar might have been fucked, but
that's rhythm section and vocals for the rest of that set, dude. If they want to keep going, dude.
Pretty much. I remember seeing Bury Your Dead. We played with Bury Your Dead on that All the Remains tour, and they opened up, and they had this one guitar player. I forget the dude's name. He was a really big dude. Like, he was pretty yoked, like big boy. Just worked out a lot. Pretty jacked kid, like six foot, but he had that spinning shit to his science. He'd do a fucking roundhouse kick and whip the guitar. It was the most badass. I'd never seen anyone do anything like that. He did it so good. Every night he would do it. He'd get it tricks. I would always wait for him to do it, and
I wonder if there was ever like what are those what are those called?
The strap locks. Strap locks.
Strap locks.
Yep,
so there's got to be at least one company that literally was like, dude, these guys are throwing too many guitars, dude. We need to come up with that.
Oh, that would be the company. Be like
titanium, fucking space, be like, Mars rover type shit.
That would be your advertisement, being like, dude, we've never lost a guitar, dude. Our fucking strap locks have never lost a guitar.
It's not even about how they play the guitar. It's about how well it swings around their body, dude.
Yeah, when that first started happening, I mean, that was like everyone was trying to do it. Like in the early 2000s, like everyone's like, well, they saw it once and they're like, at any kind of break, I need to try to spin the guitar. Like everyone was trying to.
This happened to you, and it just kicks to the fucking YouTube kid that we were talking about.
I think if you can pull it off, you make it look badass. It's great. Like, actually, Nita Strauss is a really good friend of mine.
Oh yeah,
I've known
awesome.
Her. She's awesome. I've known her for like 13 years, I think, long time. But she was practicing it.
Iron Maidens, right? Not the kind of Iron Maidens is where she came from, right?
Yep, yeah. But
yep.
And I think she had like a lot of hiccups. I think she should practice outside. I remember we would talk about it because she does it. I think she does it in her show with Alice Cooper.
Yeah, Alice
But
Cooper.
It was like there's a lot of trial and error in getting that down.
Yeah.
So you do, unfortunately, you do break stuff while you're practicing that move.
It's like have an endorsement if you're going to do it. Don't just do it with your guitar that you spent fucking the summer working for. Like, make sure you have a company that'll replace it if that happens.
Definitely, or practice with a piece of shit, something that you don't like.
Exactly.
If you break it, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
But I mean, it's. I mean, they all want to do it because guys like the Dillinger Escape Plan can fucking pull it off and fucking play a sick ass show while they're doing crazy shit like that. And everybody's like, I want to be that guy, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you can pull it off and you do it right, it can look badass. And I think that's the thing about having flair or doing or showboating or having some sort of, you're performing, you're on stage, getting that down. If you get up and you don't have it down, you try, it sucks. I mean, it does happen though. I mean, live shows, anything can happen, but it's good to kind of try to get it, practice it or get it down a little bit more, and too much can be, then it looks lame if you're doing it too much. So there's always like a fine balance of not overdoing it not underdoing it.
Yeah, it's like Dragon Force jumping off of trampolines. Is that too much, guys, or is that fucking still?
I thought it was
your...
great. I thought it was great with girls on the trampolines.
Yeah, girls definitely help.
There were, when I did the UK tour, there were girls on trampolines.
Oh, okay.
That's
I don't
awesome.
remember that. I do remember trampolines, but I don't remember girls.
So Tim, I have a question for you actually with that, because we're talking about those tricks from like, from forever ago. So we're talking about like, originally, Tommy Lee, stuff like that, tricks, doing cool stuff. Has there been like something that you've seen like as a trick, whether it's drums or guitar, that you're like, whoa, like, is there any more tricks now? Like, I feel like
I see a lot of the drum chord guys, man. They do some of the shit they do is just unreal. I'm like, wow, that is out of control. But I mean, a lot of stuff's tried and true. You have like 2 or 3 twirls that are pretty common. You have the LA twirl, which I do. It's like someone says it's like the LA fag twirl, like whatever. Everyone does it. I know that. And John Bonham did that too, as well. Yeah, that twirl. There's a twirl with your fingers. There's a whole bunch of different ones. There's your back flip backwards, and then there's the front flip, which is really cool. And there's a lot of great guys. There's a lot of players that are just so badass and so much fun to watch. I like it. Like I said, it's not always well received in the extreme metal world, because it's not brutal or whatever. I don't know, but I don't think I don't know. I always
they probably look at it as like a novelty thing versus sincerity, but there is a sincerity in how you're explaining it and how it is actually important, because I'm thinking about how like, and I'm not trying to reduce it to this, but like going to a bar and the bartender doing sick tricks while he's making your drink. It's like humans like the little extra on top of the dope shit. Yeah, so if you're playing dope shit and then throwing the fucking cherries on top, like, yeah, give me more of the cherries, dude.
Or just like the fucking Korean barbecue, or like where they're cutting shit up and like,
like
flicking shit in your mouth.
I don't want to like reduce it to like a novelty or something like that.
I mean, to me, like it blows my mind that Tim's even saying there's people that are not down for it. Like if you're playing like just Christianized.
If I've had 3 beers and we're at a fucking show, we're gonna fucking be like, oh shit, look at fucking what he's doing.
No, I'm gonna be talking about you the whole time. If you like, oh, during fucking Dechristianized, he did this little thing. I'll be like, dude, he did that in the middle of
the conversation. That would be the conversation.
That's where I'm like, I don't know where these kids come from that are like, fuck that flashy shit. Like,
nah, dude, just fucking keep your do a Neil Peart, never smile. No, Neil Peart can do the sick shit while not smiling.
There's nothing more boring than going to watch a band and everyone is a totem pole on stage.
Totally.
When I go to watch someone play, I like live shows. I like to watch musicians. I like to watch other musicians. I like to be on stage, but there's always a fun, like when you said the thing about having a little bit of flair, adding a little pizzazz, there's nothing wrong with having a redeemable skill set and then just adding a little flair and having a little fun, making it a little more interesting and adding a little more to it. But I always was a firm believer, for me, like I always wanted to, like when I get on stage, I always want to give 150%. I want to have a good time. But I like to apply the flair because I think it's just adding a little more. You're going a little above and beyond than anyone.
It doesn't get in the way of you actually playing the song. So why would it matter to anybody other than the dudes that are fucking stoked that you're doing it on top of nailing the shit?
Like I said, when I saw it, like I wasn't expecting it, and it was just like fucking badass. Like I didn't perceive it any other way. Like,
right on.
And I would be honest if I was like, oh, dude, it fucking blew me away. I thought it was sick.
That's fast.
So
good stuff, man. I'm glad to do that.
A question I've been trying to push in here, which probably, I don't know how important the project was to you, but it was the World Under Blood project with our friend Risha and dude from CKY. Like, how did that come to fruition?
Darren and I met when I moved here, and I met Darren. He was one of my first friends that I met when I moved to LA. I met him one night at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and we were talking, and he was actually with Bam Margera that night. And we all got hammered, and I had Bam prank call like my sisters and a bunch of other people. It was hilarious. But we had we hung out, and I told him I played on the first Hate Eternal, and he freaked out. He was like, "Holy shit!" And blah 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 blah. She's like, "Dude, get my number. Let's hang out. Let's get together sometime." I'm like, "Yeah, I just moved into town, man. I'd love to meet him." So we stayed in touch, and we've always got along. Actually, I recently got back in touch with Darren, and I just talked to him last week, and there may be talks of us working together in the future. We'll see. I mean, right now would be a good time. And I'd love to work with Darren. I always got along well with him. So the World Under Blood stuff was just kind of a project. It went together really, those songs went together and came together effortlessly. I can't stress it enough. There was really no overthinking it. It just flowed out great. And it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, there was some issues with who mixed and mastered the album. I'm not going to mention his name, but I don't like him very much because of that. And he took all the anticipation for that album was ruined because the mixing and mastering just took forever. So that really created a little bit of some tension between one another. And I didn't talk to Darren for quite a few years. I was also busy working and he was busy with his life. But at that point, I was like, between that and then the record label they had all these demands. And I'm like, I haven't gotten a single red cent from doing any of this. And they wanted me to drive to, wherever their facility is in Marina Del Rey and sign like 800 posters. And I'm like, well, are you paying me? Well, no, I'm like, well, I'm not doing it for free. I didn't ask for anything, but you want me to like take time out of my day and my work schedule to come and do all this. And there was just no, well, you should do it for what? There was kind of where it kind of got ugly too. And that was a time also where I was, money was kind of a tight, it was really tight for me at that time. So that created a lot of tension too. I was really hoping that we were able to get an advance and then maybe do some shows. And the time it took to mix and master the album, it killed and took all the money, killed the budget. And that's really what happened with World Under Blood.
So do you think that being as ambitious as you are and being open as a session player for all these different projects, obviously the more projects you take on, the more chances you're taking with certain things like this, and being in an underground, extreme niche type of music, that even makes the chances greater for weird shit to happen,
Oh, absolutely.
But it's you have to persevere and just move on from certain bad fucking situations that happen in your career if you're going to keep on pushing it forward.
You have to. I've had more heartbreak than I've had success in my entire career. I've had more letdowns. I've had more sadness than I've had great. I've had incredible moments too, but in most musicians, it's not uncommon. I'm not the only guy that totally had a story. Most musicians, we've had more heartache and more letdowns and disappointments than we've had, success. And extreme metal is not really a genre where there's a lot of money.
It's all passion, and that's why there's so much heartbreak involved, dude.
100%. But it gets tricky when you get to a certain age and you start looking at and evaluating your life and then how much you're bringing in and then maybe what you would want. And that's why a lot of guys just kind of cut back and are doing 180, 160 shows a year. They just can't really afford to do it. And nowadays, it's tough with the internet because there's even less money now. So I think there are, but there, I'm not trying to discourage the younger guys that are out doing it. There are other ways to be lucrative. You have all this social media stuff. There's a lot of money with YouTube and Instagram and all this other stuff. There's online, there's Skype lessons. I think you just have to be a little more resourceful with technology, in which that is not me. As earlier, I had to call. Casey had to call me and show me how to do this stuff. So
it didn't take that long, though. It was like 10 minutes or so. We had you up and running.
But I definitely think, it gets a little harder as you get older to rough it out. This is something that you do when you're in your 20s, and then when you're in your 30s, hope you're established. But it's always good to have something else that you're involved in to generate revenue. You'll enjoy playing music more, and you'll be occupied when you're not playing and when you're not on tour.
That's like what I came to, like coming home from like a 6-week Decrepit tour. I'd be like, I would throw my instrument in my closet and be like, I don't want to see that thing. I was like so like burnt out on playing. I was like, all right, I just need to like fucking like live my life a little bit. Like I need to like recoup, like what, because it's your passion and stuff, and it's what you got like into the whole thing for. But like if you basically finding the balance of like hobby versus like, you know, what I'm making my money on, like I don't want to, for me, like this is probably going to not resonate with everyone, but for me, like my passion in a money driven like environment was not a cohesive thing for me. It was like I needed it to be like for me and for fun, and not like worrying about money in the middle of, you know, the passion of playing. Like for me, it was like when money got involved and started to be like the reason why I was doing it, or not the reason why I was doing it, but like the reason, basically the way to survive was through money. Then it started to get kind of weird, where it was like, well, money's not very good because I'm playing extreme gnarly death metal. Like it's not like it's not a lucrative environment that I'm in.
It changes the very
totally. And then like I literally would come home and like finally decompress, and then I would pick up a guitar or something and start playing again. Like, okay, this is like learn a old Rush song, like sit in my room and just learn an old Rush song and be like, this is so much fun, and like get renewed again and not playing, you know, the same songs over and over. And like and it was like, oh, how am I going to survive? And thinking about going back home and rent, and thinking about like girlfriends and stuff like that. Like it was always like setting it aside as a hobby, like really renewed my love for it. As not like it wasn't like my number one. I mean, I haven't had the success that you've had, Tim, and like and you've probably seen like way cooler things than I've seen. But like as far as like hitting the road as like a fucking blue collar, just surviving band, just trying to fucking make enough to fucking get enough to pay rent, so I don't have to like go in a dumpster, which we did to get food and like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like we would do things like that back in the day. Just to I'd have one time I like came home and paid rent, and I had $50 for like 3 months like left over. You know, I was like, I gotta, you know what I mean? Like it was
it's grueling, man. The first tour I did, I was like negative $500. I actually was negative of that. And, you know, I remember, you know, there were some tours. I remember there was a tour I did. We had no money. I think it was the Asia tour, and we were at a diner, and we wanted to eat. We had coffee, and someone left, and they left their sandwich. So I grabbed their sandwich, and I ate the rest of the goddamn sandwich. Like, you know, I mean, it's like, you do what you do to survive, and you can fall asleep like in you know, wherever you just sleep. These are things you do when you're younger, you're youthful, you're vibrant. You can do this type of thing. I mean, you can still do it in your 30s and 40s, but generally most human beings, when they get to that age, you become a little more salty. You become a little more jaded, a lot of guys, and then you just become a little bit to where you can do it, but it's not enjoyable. Because you're older and you're like, okay, well, what the fuck? I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I'm still doing this and that. And then when it gets to a point where you're questioning it, then it's like, well, now all the magic's gone. So it's kind of a tough thing. And we've all roughed it out one way or another. I mean, I did DIY tours for nearly a decade in a tour bus with no techs. So, I mean, that
magic that you're talking about, though, what do you think that is? Like in the beginning, even though we're fucking losing money, but I have memories of like laughing in aisles of Dollar Tree, like the dollar store on tour, where we're like, dude, they have fucking Tall Boy energy drinks for $1, dude. We don't even know what the fuck it is, but we're getting these and we're stoked because we got energy drinks for the next couple of days, dude. Oh, I'm going to eat granola for fucking 3 days straight, dude. I ate out of a tub of granola.
The best was, Tim, on one Decrepit tour, on one day we went to McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like 3 times. We went to
man, bro. That's fucking brutal, dude.
That's so brutal, dude. Yeah, that's way more brutal.
I mean, I've done, but just eating McDonald's for a whole day, that's pretty rough. But you know what? Yeah. I mean, I did eat some stranger sandwich.
Yeah.
And I do remember I had Chef Boyardee. We would go and I would eat Chef Boyardee out of the can.
Just fucking not even heat it up. Just fucking cut it open and fucking scoop it out, dude.
I did that when I moved to LA for almost 8 months. I lived off of Walmart brand SpaghettiOs, not even Franco-American, Walmart SpaghettiOs out of a can and their canned chicken breast. And that was what I would eat. I worked at Sports Chalet for a little bit.
It's good. That's like the ghetto fucking chicken parmesan, dude.
You just do what you do to survive. And I think to answer your question earlier on why is it magical and where does it go? I think it's the basic, the early new fresh experiences as a human being is always magical because it's brand new. You've never experienced it before. It's just kind of like a kid that sees bubbles, like
totally, wow, dude. And it's formative years too, like early 20s.
I think it's just part of being human. And as we get a little older, it requires, and it's not that the magic goes away, but it just requires a little more effort to keep it there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, and even if you keep it there, it's never like the first time experiencing it. That's always magical, enduring even the roughest scenarios for a first time. It's fresh. So it's kind of exhilarating because you've never done it, but you do it for a decade and then it's no longer fresh and it's no longer fun after all. Like, okay, even a fun experience after 10 years is like, okay, well, I already know that.
Everything in like moderation. I mean, just as a kid, I was actually talking to my boss today about this. Like, I remember getting like a bag of Doritos and being like stoked on it. Like being like, I got a fucking bag of Doritos, dude. Like, and sharing it with my friends all wanted Dorito. Like everyone wants a Dorito. And it's like $1 a bag of Doritos. As things like happen more and stuff, you get desensitized. Like you could have your favorite
have Doritos at home, it's like,
well, it's like one of those things. Like you could make love to the most beautiful woman, but if you have to do it 10 times a day for fucking 10 years,
if you had a cabinet full of Doritos, would you be as stoked on Doritos?
Yeah, it's just like if you do something in repetition enough, it'll lose flavor. You know what I mean? Like
it's kind of the love and the curse of being a living human.
Totally.
Our experiences after a while, it dissipates. The excitement dissipates after a while. So yeah, those Doritos at one point were holy shit, so awesome. If someone gave you a bag of Doritos now, even if they gave you 4 bags of flavors, I mean, it'd still be fun. Doritos are cool, but it might not be as exciting as when you remember how awesome that one bag of Doritos was.
Mm-hmm, totally.
That's just like the human mind, and how we condition ourselves.
We want to replicate an experience, but that experience is in the past. It's never
chasing a dragon. Chasing the dragon.
But that dragon, that we'll never find the same dragon. We may find a dragon, but it's not going to be the same dragon that we're chasing. It's already in the past. It was all a gigantic equation of that moment when you had that bag of Doritos, and it'll never be the same because it's not the complete equation.
It's never the same. You can duplicate this. You can always duplicate the first time, but you'll never get the first time experience as a human being. You'll never experience for the first time ever again. So you only experience something once. Like it can only be brand new once. And then after that, it just depends on your level of, mental enthusiasm and how special it's going to continue to be. Mm-hmm. Some people get over things really quick. Other people find what they love and continue it on. But it's, that's just.
And there's certain things that you really can get very close to that first experience, like fucking cynic focus. Like if I let that shelf just for a little bit, dude, like I almost get to that point. You're really you see that translucent last layer that you're trying to fucking bat through the ice at the top of the fucking frozen lake that you're in, and you're like, oh, it's almost there, but it's like a very thin layer of a boundary that you just can't get when you first had like a song or an album like Focus fucking blow your mind for the first time,
Absolutely. There are certain albums that I listen to, and to this day they're still just as relevant as they were, and there's like a handful of them, and that's always great. But I also, it's a cool thing about music is sometimes you can listen to a song and it brings you back to a certain time of your life. It's the closest thing we can get to time traveling is art.
Yeah,
A song or a movie or something, you know what I mean?
Or a smell, a
smell. A smell will bring me back home.
Even a smell, I can, like, we were just talking about a certain. I was talking to a friend of mine, like certain thing. It was, I forgot what the hell it was. I'm like, I can still taste that. Whatever it was, like some food or something I had as a kid. I'm like, I can still remember what that tastes like.
I'll get into a customer's car because I work on cars all day, and I'll get into a customer car and I'll be like, dude, that smells like my sophomore girlfriend's car. Like some combination of smells, and it takes me right back to like the fucking Grand Am that she drove or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm just like, a mixture of like Victoria's Secret fucking perfume and chick funk, dude.
Man, it's crazy. Yeah, a certain scent will jog your memory and put you back into a certain time in your life, and that's pretty remarkable, pretty badass. There's certain things that I'll, like I can, nothing off the top of my head right now, but do you know that fucking, what is that, corned beef hash stuff? Okay, that reminds me of being a kid and my father making it on a Sunday for us. And I always liked it. My mom hated it, and a lot of people still hated it. My ex-girlfriend couldn't stand it, and I didn't eat red meat for like 5 years, so I didn't have it. And I just started eating red meat again this year, so I think I might start. But I can smell it cooking right now.
I know it. I can smell it as you're talking about it.
Me too.
Eggs sunny side up with runny yolk, with salt and pepper on the eggs.
Boom.
And pepper in the corn. There was always enough salt in that shit. But a little
dude,
pepper.
That's what it is. I mean, I just learned that within the last couple of years. Corned beef. Everybody's like corned
beef hash.
Corned is actually pertaining to the salt that they use to cure the meat. It's actually like gigantic pieces of salt that are used traditionally. So it's for some reason they use the word corned.
How is that different
salted
from like
beef.
pastrami? Like, how is that different?
It's probably similar, but it's like really like it's like salted meats, like
salted beef,
gigantic kernels of salt or whatever. Kernels, corned.
Tim, that's the oldest.
Dude, we're in such the cornfields right now. We're in.
Aren't you? Tim, but hold on, like Tim, aren't you into cars? Like you're
a little bit, yeah. I've got 10 here, 11.
You got 10 cars?
Yeah, I got.
Jesus Christ, dude! I was waiting for like 3, 4, 5.
So
no, I don't want to talk work.
You guys
now,
too
dude.
Just talk cars for like 5 minutes.
Come on,
we got.
What are you into?
A short cars section, just a short.
Okay, all right, let's do it. What are you into?
I'm really, really into. I really like a lot of custom car culture stuff. I like a lot of open wheel, late 20s, early 30s, American cars,
like roadsters and shit.
Yeah, I got a Chop Channel Ford Model A hot rod. I like hot rods. I'm a hot rod. So I'm
okay. So do you follow like builders and shit? Do you follow
some builders? Yeah.
Okay, so up near me, I don't know. They've actually been world renowned. I'm aligning cars that get sent out to Hawaii and fucking Europe and shit. Eric Clapton gets cars done at this place. It's Roy Brizio's Street Rods. They're in South San Francisco.
Roy Brizio's, I've heard of them. But that sounds like, I mean, just by that name, sounds like.
I think it may be like, well, everybody says a couple years ago now, which means like 4 years ago. 4 years ago or 5 years ago, they actually won the best roadster in America.
I guarantee you, I've probably seen his cars on Instagram, and I didn't know it was his shop.
Straight up, dude. So he's literally down the street from my shop, and I align all his cars. I make them go straight, and I make sure that the tires don't fucking wear out.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
In turn, it's like I get to see all these celebrities that want it, because, dude, you got to have $150,000 to start a build at that shop. So
what is he doing? Is he doing like a lot?
It's mainly like 32 Ford Roadsters, his Nomads, his fucking 55 Nomads are so fucking dope, dude.
Oh, sweet.
But it's basically like he does, a he does whatever you want, really. It all depends on how much money you got. But it's like the baseline stuff. He's got a few frames. He's starting to work with independent rear suspension on these old fucking cars and shit. So I got to like learn new shit to make these independent rear suspensions work in these fucking cars that totally didn't have independent rear suspension.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of companies right now are making like, you can take, TCI. There's a lot of other chassis companies that have. You can get complete chassis and bolt them onto a 50s era, like a Tri-5. I love Tri-5 Chevys. They're probably my favorite cars because they can fit in any subgenre of build. They do everything really, really well. I've actually got an old 55. It's a straight axle. It's a gasser. It's an old nostalgic drag car. I love nostalgic drag cars. I like 60s era shit a lot. Late 50s up to late 60s. I think mid late 60s hot rods look the best. It's just everything like so badass. That's where you had all the crazy like mag wheels, thick metal flake paint jobs,
and into the 70s too. But like, I know what you're saying, dude. Like the Malibus and the Novas and all that shit from, and the Mustangs, the fucking Cougars. Like, I mean, Cougars basically sitting on the fucking Mustang clip, but it's all, there was something with like art and all that shit going on back then and making cars, which is not, I mean, it's starting to like, there's a resurgence now of like trying to bring back the American muscle and all this kind of shit.
It's definitely bigger than the car hobby is completely different than how it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you had to know how to work on, if you wanted an old car, you had to know basic things and you had to have a set of tools. Now everything is resto modded. For anyone listening, or if you guys don't know what a resto mod is, a resto mod is a car that is modified, gone through and restored isn't really a word. Restore is restoring something to what it was. But if you're redoing something and then putting new components on it, that's a resto mod. So modern brakes, modern engine, transmission. So it runs and drives and is reliable like a new car, but you have the aesthetics of an old car. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest thing right now in the car world. And there are a lot of guys that aren't really car guys that have these cars that they have them built. There's guys that'll have a $250,000 resto mod build, like a 68 Camaro or whatever, with all modern components. And that's really where it's heading right now. That's where the car hobby is. A lot of guys have older cars. You don't really need to have any knowledge how to work on them anymore. If you have something with a newer engine, you can just drive it like a brand new car. Mm-hmm. So it's a little different now. I mean, back then you really had to know a lot of stuff where you don't so much now. And it's just, man, it's out of control. It's really saturated and it's interesting. I don't know where we're going to go, how long it's going to last.
Well, I'll say that since I'm in the business, and I'm seeing all these roadsters and these hot rods and these different kinds of modifications that you're talking about, these backyard boogies that people are doing that come in like fucking buckets of bolts and fucking, doing it right, but still trying to modernize it. Like, I've always been the guy who said, just keep it stock, dude. Like, the engineers came up with this car. You don't need to raise your fucking truck 6 inches, bro. Like, you have to do so much more to make that kind of like drivable. And
well, we
realize that.
Go to modify something like that, as everything else has to be re-engineered. You can't just change one thing without changing 10 other things. So that's the trickle. That's the snowball effect, I guess to say. So, depending on what the car is, I think certain vehicles should be preserved. I think if you have a numbers matching documented, car that has the original motor and transmission, I think it's a good vehicle to keep preserved. If you have something that's not, or just kind of a project, do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's true too. No doubt.
But I think really at the end of the day, we're just mere caretakers of all this stuff. So have fun and do whatever it is that you're into. And right now, like I said, the resto mod thing is really crazy. A buddy of mine, he's actually going to be at SEMA, which is a big car expo in Las Vegas, kind of the equivalent to the NAMM show, but it's all car stuff. But he's He actually converted a 32 Ford to a fully electronic engine, and it looks like a gas-powered engine. It's in a casing, but it's a Tesla motor, and the thing makes like almost 600 horsepower. It's insane. The car is extremely fast, but that's going to be the future, whether we like it or not. I think it's cool. I mean, I still like my gas stuff because I like the elements of gas. I like certain characteristics of a gas-powered engine. But it's kind of neat, though. It's going to be like it. You imagine having an.
And that type of innovation is not what I'm talking about. When I was saying that, I was about lowering and lifting your vehicles. That is an innovation that I'm actually on board.
That's like equivalent to doing doubles for like. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's like this new innovation of drums. You know what I mean? Like it's now become this new thing now. It's like now it's the Tesla way to do, it's like it's like now this like fast forward kind of like, okay, well, how can we go faster? It's the same thing with cars or a lot of things.
Nitrous rockets like installed on my Ford Escape, dude.
Shout out to Mike Gilbert. I don't know what model he has, but he recently came in for rotation and alignment. And he's got a Tesla, but he's got the one that's got like the sport package. And we went to a back street behind the shop and and I was driving, and he was like, bring it to a stop and then just fucking floor it, dude. And when you're in a Tesla, you don't hear anything. You don't hear the motor. There's nothing like. It's just like get in and go type deal. And it gave me fucking like whiplash, dude. And as I'm driving, like I'm driving the vehicle. So I'm like, oh shit, dude, I got to slow down immediately after that happened. He's like, nah, dude, fucking, did you floor it? And I'm like, I actually don't think I did. She's like, do it again, dude. And
it's insane. No, the electronic car, the response is nuts. Like,
so you've driven one too.
I've driven, a buddy of mine had a Tesla S, and he put it in like ludicrous tune or whatever.
That's what it is.
It was insane. It was like 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds.
It's like 2 point something. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that electronic engines are going to surpass gas-powered engines at some point.
Which they should. I mean,
and that's cool, but I like my gas-powered stuff. And there's so many different variables with the car world. I mean, you have your lifting and lowering; those are different worlds, and there's always different innovative things. I mean, 20 years ago, air ride wasn't nearly as common as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So air ride is it's like the standard if you have something that you want to sit down on the ground.
That's the new age hydraulics. Now it's just air ride.
Yeah, I've had like a lot of AccuAir stuff. It's cool. The problem is like no matter how nice it is, I've had $8,000, $9,000 air ride setups. I'm always dicking with it. I can't just enjoy the car. I'm always messing with the air ride. So to be honest with you, I like static drops, no air ride. I do actually. I'm probably the next car I'm going to build for myself will probably be something that has 4 doors and back seats in it, or at least back seats, and it'll probably be on bags.
Nice.
But I've got a bunch of other stuff. Mainly my shit's just old hot rods, and I got a couple muscle cars, and those are fun too. I've had so many muscle cars, I just kind of got bored.
My first car was a 72 Chevelle, dude, and my dad gave me way too much car, dude.
Those are great. I got a 68.
400. It was a 350 stroked out to 400, and it was just way too much for me, dude. Like I would have to purposefully not hit the pedal, or it would break loose on taking off from a stop sign, dude.
I would have killed to have. That was your first car?
My first fucking car.
That's awesome.
Dude.
My first car was a 1980 Pontiac Grand Prix with I had a wooden bumper on the back of it.
I know, dude. I'm a spoiled kid, dude. It was like a great deal that my dad's buddy was getting rid of it, and he was like, my dad owned the business and shit, and so he's just like, fuck yeah, dude. I'm gonna.
Dude, my first car like merged your car. I had a Saturn SL2.
Saturn. I remember the Saturns.
I had a Dodge Voyager purple van, dude. So beat that.
Okay. Yeah, that's I know what that vehicle looks like in my head.
Dude, Joseph, now we gotta hear yours, dude. What's your
Joseph? What was your first?
What's your first car?
Vehicle?
I had a Volvo that my dad's friend like sold to me like through my dad, and on like 41st Avenue.
Yeah.
I like it would take like if you went too fast, it would overheat. So like I was tired of like being the dumb slow guy, like everyone but waiting behind him. So I just started trying to move normal speed, and the engine died on it, and I like pulled over on like 38th and just walked home, and I just left it, never saw it again. So.
You just left it.
I was just like, yeah, Dad, that car your friend sold me sucks. Like, no, I probably did see it. I'm exaggerating. I do remember walking home and just being like, come on, dude. Like, this isn't working. Like, you're going to have to get a real car if you're going to get me one. You can't just, But,
the fun of it.
So
and then I ended up with another Volvo after that, by the way. So,
Nice.
just
Tim, wrapping it all up, Tim, like, so Iron Morbid, is that still like what are the plans for Iron Morbid? Like, is there any, obviously you can't say probably what's going on, but like, is there plans?
I'm happy to share anything with you guys and anyone that's watching or listening. I Am Morbid right now. We're just having a little bit of touring complications right now. As far as all our market is in Europe. Mm-hmm. And in Europe, it's every country is a little different how they do stuff. There are not everybody in I Am Morbid is on the same wavelengths as far as the shot. So that's also a little bit of a challenge. So I think that what we're going to try to do is we're going to definitely try to do some stuff in the US. I know, David, it's really hard because we just can't get our number in the States, and we don't have the as much appeal as we do in Europe. It's a much bigger market for extreme metal in Europe. So that's why we're always there. I'd like to tour the States, but it's really hard for us to make it to where it financially makes sense. And we all have, I Am Morbid is not a cash cow for any of us. We all have other revenue in other areas, but we can't do 5 weeks for free. Everyone has bills. Some of us have mortgages. I have a mortgage, and it's Bill has a mortgage. David had a mortgage. I think he just him and his wife are expanding, so I think they're having another house. But their overheads pretty high too. So everyone has adult lives with bills. So it just has to make sense. And the main thing that's really hard is the transportation right now. So we're going to try to do that. A lot of bands and, a lot of states right now are open and back to normal. California and New York and certain other states are having challenges with getting people in office to open things back up. So it's not hard to tour in the States. I mean, not that much in California, maybe New York, but other states are open. We'll do those as well. So next year we're going to try to do that. And then eventually Europe, and hopefully we're talking about Russia. So, and then maybe an EP. I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about the EP. If we do an EP, I really want it to be, kind of 90s era sounding. I don't want it to be. So that's another challenge, finding someone that can do that. And then, us getting together and writing stuff will be hard.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see what happens. We have Kelly McLaughlin he was in the band Pessimist. He's playing for us now. And I just did his new album, the new Pessimist album. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that'll be out next year. Looking forward to that. He's asking if I were to do festivals. It's kind of hard. Maybe I'll do festivals. We'll see. It's really tricky. When it comes down to it, because there's a lot of expenses that go with that. Getting somewhere, having people help, text. There's not a whole shit ton of money, for extreme metal. So we're gonna have to figure out how to do it.
Plane tickets and all that stuff, like all the costs that go into that. It's pretty fucking extraneous
dude. So
to make
fucking
anything.
go out and support your fucking underground metal guys. If there's a show coming through, even if just go out and have some fun, dude. You just know you're supporting some real shit that's trying to fucking stay afloat and just and keep up the fucking fight, dude, and keep working and doing their craft. And
if you got if you have a good job and you're into this kind of stuff, like buy the merch, it goes a long way, like for the bands,
absolutely does. Yeah.
Just support.
I mean, we've been everybody's been scraping along this far, and we're still plenty of extreme music going on. But I'm just saying, it's like, you got something that you like, make sure that you're supporting those guys, because those guys are fucking, we're all grueling, and a lot of people are grueling harder,
Yeah.
So just fucking get out there and get to the shows, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. There are no shows if no one shows up. So it's up to you.
Get to the shows, buy your merch, fucking buy your beers.
So yeah. And right now there's been some challenging things with COVID too. Some people are still kind of scared about things, and they may be precautious. And I'd say do whatever you got to do to make yourself feel comfortable or safe. Use it at your own discretion. I'd say at this point, I mean, a lot of us, I don't know about you guys, I'm ready to get out and have some fun.
Totally.
I got a taste of it already, dude, and I loved it, dude. I went to a small show with fucking Joseph and Joel, and I just saw Violently Vomit in fucking Vegas, dude. And when you're there, dude, you're just reminded of like it's a sanctuary to be.
Yeah, especially how much time has been off. We've been off for I've been actually seeing some of the bigger bands come through and they're like sold out because like people are so like hungry. They want to fucking like a show that probably wouldn't normally be sold out would be sold out because like people want, they're hungry. And it's cool to like buy those tickets. Like worst case scenario, you don't go, but like you're showing the promoters like it's worth it for these people to come here, and like you're showing them like, hey, if another fucking package comes through, we'll pay for it and we will fucking support them coming through. And, even just buying a ticket, just if you're up in the air, I would say just buy it. Just, you're helping out a big.
I agree. I definitely wholeheartedly agree. And that is the one thing that where we all come together and we all unite and celebrate a particular event or something that we love or enjoy, live music, or even like, sporting events too, or car shows or what have you. All these things are important to get out and enjoy music. I really miss live music and seeing live shows, and I'm glad to see that there are bands out and people are really, I say the attendance at any show right now is pretty good and pretty healthy. And I'm happy to see, I'm happy to see that. I really am. I'm happy
people
to see
are thirsty for fucking music.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's awesome. Fuck yeah.
Totally.
Really.
Well, Tim, you've given us a lot of your time. I really appreciate it, man. Obviously you've so really influenced like fucking Casey, who's like literally like one of my favorite musicians in the world, looks up to you. You know what I mean? So
awesome.
I mean, it's literally like, I couldn't believe that you actually were going to come on here. I was like, fuck.
Dude, awesome.
It's
so
insane.
Dude, I have a younger brother who he's not as involved in death metal as he used to be. But when I told him, hey, Tim Young's coming on this week, he was like, wait, what? Like,
that's awesome, man. Well,
so that's a name that stuck with a dude who isn't even in the scene anymore, really.
Tim, you really deserve it, man. Like you are a legend. Like you're such a nice dude. You're so humble and like awesome, but like you deserve that, dude. Like you are a legend, man. Like
that's really respected in the scene, and when like people are like fucking really talented and they're fucking cool. Like I don't know. That's to me like a whole death metal, like dude.
Just like Derek Roddy and just like all you guys, dude.
Yeah, you meet someone that you've looked up to your whole life and they fucking suck or something. You know what I mean? Like they're like assholes or something.
You guys are like the nicest guys, and I know George is the same way. And I'm saying like you guys, the Mount Rushmore of death metal drummers would be you, Callias, and Roddy. I mean,
we'd have to deal with the four.
There's four. There's four, though.
Would you say Kevin Talley?
Casey
or Cole Ross?
Cole Ross. What Cole Ross is there?
Well, there's like it was like different eras though. If you talk about '90s eras,
I'll do Cole Ross on the four.
That's like '90s, like Pete and Cole Ross.
I'll do Cole Ross on the four. Hey, Kevin Talley, you want to come on Cali Death Podcast?
Change over. No, I'm just saying they're all.
Yeah, get Kevin. I haven't talked to Kevin in years. I think I heard he had a kid. I saw he had a kid on social media. I think he's
Kevin was cool. Every time I've talked to him, he's been super awesome too. Like I love all the drummers that have been on this show.
He did the first Decrepit demo, by the way.
Dude.
The Decrepit Birth demo. He did the first Decrepit Birth demo, by the way.
He did.
Yeah. To bring it all back.
That's something that I was like, you know how you go through these things and you're like, I can't. Okay, now it's
he was so good in Dying Fetus.
That was the thing.
So good in Dying Fetus.
I know, but what the fact I was going to bring up the SOD thing, seeing the Unique Leader compilation, then hearing Kevin Talley, then hearing fucking Tim take it up to fucking 11. you know, with Prelude, and you're just like, fuck, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Super stoked. Well,
Yeah,
thanks, man.
And I want to thank you guys so much for having me on here. This was a really fun night. I really like doing this. I'd love to do it again. And let's we'll keep in touch. You guys have my social media and whatnot. I'll buzz you later, Casey, or whatever. Let's catch up during the week. Thanks again,
dude. For sure, we have part 2s all the time, dude, and for sure you are always welcome to come on again, dude. I would love to do this for another fucking. What have we been doing? 2.5, 3 hours?
We're at 3.
Dude, 2.5
hours.
We're at 3. Everyone had fun. I hope it wasn't too boring.
No, dude.
It was not boring at all, man.
Dude, for your first podcast, by the way, I want to say for your first podcast, Jesus Christ, you're like you kept
natural.
things going.
It's like your first album, dude. You just murdered it.
I know. This is your conquering the throne. Like you literally like fucking
conquering.
Him just conquers
man.
every throne he
Yeah, there was you murdered it, man.
At no
like you've been doing it the whole time.
No point did I feel like, oh shit, where did we go with this? Because you got it, dude.
That was so fun, dude.
With the Q&A, man, it was really fun. It was awesome to catch up and talk shop about everything and cover, man. This flew by these past 2.5 hours, so I had a great time.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's
do
one more. Let's do a minute wrap up post pod real quick. But thank you guys so much. And I didn't mean to cut you off while I was, whatever. I'm just trying to wrap this shit. I don't know what to do now. Okay. I love you guys. I love everybody. Everybody who's involved in this, all you new people. I love you all. My heart goes out to you for fucking being with us every single week. I'm having a great time. And if you haven't subscribed, hit it up. And if you want to know when this is coming out, it comes out various times. Hit that bell, fucking all the buttons. All the socials. Tim, your social, if you want to give it out anywhere, you could get merch. People could buy your merch wherever.
I don't have any merch available, but sometimes I have some cool stuff on my Instagram, Tim Yeung 999, or you can find me on Facebook as well as the Tim Yeung fan page. Give it a like if you can, like the fan page. That would be awesome, actually. And then my personal page is kind of whatever. I think I'm booked up with. I got like a shit ton of friend requests, so. But say, hey, dude, what's up whenever. And hopefully I'll see some of you guys out there and I get back on the road when we get back on track, hopefully. And at some point, at least back on track enough to tour. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you out there for sure, dude. I know you're going to be out there. All right. Love you guys. Thank you to the resident homies, Jill, Joseph, and Casey, putting up with me every single week. We'll see you guys next week. We got some sick shit going. Have a great weekend.
Love you guys.